Oh.
I think you ought to know that men's radio, the place where men and women really speak. Oh man, what a show! It's men's radio. This crazy show is on 3 times a week. Now Russ and Phil are there to help with all your cares. We laugh, we cry, we talk like grown-ups do. But if you're sad and low, it won't cost you no dough. And radio, that's the place for you. With Russ, Kane, and Phil Dave.
It's Friday!
And
just announcing.
And yeah,
we
know. And good morning. Welcome to the Handicap Stakes Men's Radio, sponsored by Corals. And looking a little bit skittish there as it's led into the schools. Barry J. Allen with Good Morning Linda Dave, live from the kitchen in the colours of Her Majesty. What the hell?
I got the med review.
Do you realise? Ed Grossman, happy Sunday. Kimmy Lashmar, hello. Leo Green. Oh, the great Leo Green. Hi, Leo. How lovely to see you bopping along there.
I just hold up my hand.
No, that's Leo Sayer. Yeah. Leo Green, son of the great Mr. Green broadcaster, the Benny Green.
Oh, I think Mr. Green is in like him. What was included? Oh no, that was Reverend Green. Oh, I'm getting
was the Reverend Green in the study with a tefillin.
With the reed.
It was Leo Green is a great musician, and for some reason he said, "I'm having a little bash." It was a couple of years ago. Oh, and he said, "Yeah, that's Mr. Ray Gelato." And I said, I love the words, Ray, and the music's great. He said, you idiot, you wrote the words. I've got a head like a sieve. I completely forgot. I've sent the words to Ray, and we were just messing around. Ray did all that himself. That's every part of that is Ray.
From Bash to Flash. Good morning, Barry J. Allen.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, my mother's tuned in nice and early.
That's good. Now, hello, Sue Cressman. A woman who loses 50 grand a month at Nail Coat Hall so far, thanks to the lockdown. Unbelievable.
Ever.
Yeah.
Morning.
She's got to go. She's got a Zoom meeting. It's a little grown up, isn't it?
We'll have grown up. 12:30 for a Zoom meeting. Oh, I know.
Why is it the moment I start broadcasting, the dog starts? The dog starts immediately.
Well, it's because
sod all the rest of the time, lies there like a pajama case. I start broadcasting. She's got her food. I've had the door open. Now what?
I've got an idea.
What?
We'll bet you sit there in relative silence, apart from swearing at your computer. And now that you're talking continuously, she probably pricks up her ears and thought, "Oh, hang on."
You're not wrong there. Sue Cressman's going to speak to us soon. Yay! Okay. Now, a lot of people were curious about my vaccination because I think there's a lot of controversy, there's confusion.
And in balance, we recognise a lot of people weren't interested, but we're going to share this anecdote all the same.
Okay. I can see how the next 3 hours are going to be. Okay. You start off nice, you start off friendly, you start off trying to be reasonable.
Really?
No. We're going to the mattresses. Sue Cressman knows what I mean. Call the boys, we're going to the mattresses. That's it.
Psst, Russ.
No music today. We had no music. That's my my trainer kind of. Hey, you know what I was going to say before I interrupted myself with my own stupidity was this. Right,
Russ. What do you mean going to the mattresses?
you're going to be sleeping with the fishes tonight. You've upset me.
Oh.
No, you have no idea what I'm talking about, do you?
But Tesco closes at a
No,
certain...
not Tesco fish counter. From Monday, we are expanding the Daily Show, excuse me, and it's being taken up by a radio group called Deluxe Radio.
Oh.
And it's going to be audio. It's just going to be audio. They're not going to see us. They're just going to hear us. So it's exactly the same. No changes to Men's radio station. But they asked, could we take the show with you and Phil? I went, okay. Stunned that anyone would want to, but there we go. And
sadly, they've got rid of me, but it's fine. No, I'm joking.
They got rid of you. You've seen the publicity shots.
I'm kidding.
And I was asked, listen to me. I was asked, are you sure you want Phil in the photo? I said, yes, of course I want Phil in the photo.
Wow.
Yeah.
God.
Anyway, all the visual gags that we do and all the messing around is going to be absolute rubbish on radio.
It's true.
It's going to be hilarious.
We've got to take a step forward into the new world of radio, and we must.
No, we're not. I'm not changing a thing. They know what they were buying. That's it. They got what they got. They know what they were getting.
Oh, can you hear Carlo's barking? I think it's an excitement for his birthday today.
How old is he today? 12? Is he 12?
Bad. He's 13.
13.
I know.
Sue Cressman's been to the mattresses. There's nothing under them. Not even some guests that you wondered where the hell they were. Haven't heard from them in months.
I flip the mattress every time I change the bed linen. Am I weird?
No, you're supposed to do that. How do you do that? I can't do that. I give myself a hernia if I do that. No,
really?
Last Amanda, we're not changing anything, I can assure you. No, we're not changing anything. They just want to take the show as it is. So they're going to take the show as it is. It's going to go out to an enormous number of people. Excuse me, I sneezed and coughed all at the same time.
I mean, are you sure that nothing is going to change about this show? We might have to up one or two.
I'm not changing anything, sod it.
I mean,
no, I told the guy who runs this whacking great radio network, I said, this is it. We're not changing anything. He went, no. What is it? Sue Cressman's got 49 rooms. Blimey, that's a lot of Mr. Sheen, isn't it? That's a lot of Mr. Sheen.
Things clean, though.
1001 cleans a big, big carpet for less than half a crown.
Huh?
Those were the days of adverts. Now then. Glassy Amanda wants to know about my vaccination. Okay. And I know a lot of people are trepidatious about it, and I get it.
Oh, yes. You had a vaccination. How'd you get on? You had a vaccination. How'd you get on?
Fine. Well,
you're still here, so that's something.
Well, it's a start. We can build from there. My vaccination was at Guy's Hospital, and what they've done... It's Lloyd going to the mattress. He goes, Rusty, you're my older brother and I love you, but don't ever take sides with anyone against the family again, ever.
Kimmy Lashmar sneezed and coughed. Good job you're not me. You
precisely.
Good Lord.
Kimmy. I know.
Kim.
It would have been a triple. It would have been a triple there, Kim. Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Extraordinary. She's implying that she would have cried at the same time.
What I adore about you is your wonderful naivety, your depth of knowledge on some subjects, and absolutely not a scintilla of understanding of others. Don Lloydini, we've been friends.
Can I assure you, I do know some things. I just try and sort of dumb it down a little bit, just because I don't.
You're fooling nobody. Dumbing down what?
I don't. Rude. I don't really want to imply that I understand, having just put a message up and read it for the first time once, I'd put it out there and gone live with it, that Lashmar was implying that she'd sneeze, cough, and pass water. But I just thought it would be more radio friendly to imply that she'd cry. So there you go.
Look who's joined us. Hey, look who's joined us. Look who's joined us.
Eve Phantom. Crazy name. Crazy gal.
Morning,
Nice
Eve.
to see you back, Eve.
That's a
Not
good
sure
way
where
of
she's been.
putting
Could have
it.
been on the International Space Station doing the cooking, or being chief physicist. We don't know.
All of these years, we've done it wrong.
Why? What's the matter?
Perfect way to greet her. Morning, Eve. Look at that. Rather than good Eve.
Morning, Eve. I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. Is there a gag there? What's the gag?
Well, Eve is normally associated with the evening, is
No,
it not?
I've got that. I've got
Yeah.
that much.
So
Yes,
more
I've got that.
Eve
Yeah.
is an oxymoron.
Talking of morons, are you doing cooking today, or do I assume that's not happening?
No, do you know what? Today I've had a lazy day.
I've had a what?
I've had a lazy day today. I bought a challah.
Shh.
It's actually the first challah I've bought in nearly a year. So I thought I owed myself a treat.
Yeah.
Quite
Try
nice.
doing that here.
I thought it was quite nice because this morning.
Try doing that here.
What, buy a challah? Yeah, good luck with that.
Oh, you gotta be
This
kidding
morning,
me, right?
I took myself off.
I wanted drugs. I've got an endless choice, right? Get a holler, not a hope.
This morning, I took myself off to Brick Lane with my colleague, and we decided to go.
You're in trouble. You're in trouble. Stop it. I'm sorry. You're straight in trouble.
What?
Eve Phantom, are you calling me a lady of the night, Phil? You've done it now, boy.
Well, I wasn't. But I mean, I think she doth protest too much.
Do you know what? We've never asked what she does.
Eve, what do you do?
She's an escort.
Oh, well, that
Following
explains.
that, or maybe she's a Consul, Zephyr, or a Capri. We don't know. Could be any of those things. I saw such a funny gag last night. It's a guy. He was from Live at the Apollo, and he just did 8.5 minutes of one-liners. He goes, "I filled the escort up with diesel by mistake. She died." Fantastic line. It's just hilarious. It's just a brilliant line, isn't it? There's one thing I don't like about Halloween, which is
It's so stupid but brilliant.
then he did this guy, the other guy. He goes, I mean, he said, "There's one thing I don't like about Halloween, which is Eve Phantom apparently is a marketing strategist.
Good Lord, that sounds.
She works in Lidl. I don't know what she is. Marketing strategist. That sounds quite grown up.
Yeah, it sounds more clever than what we do. So well done.
Well, anything's more clever than what we do. Anywho. So I went along to
Hang on, you were saying it. You were doing this joke. There's only one thing I don't like about Halloween.
And what? I'll try it for the third time. Jesus Christ! The one thing I don't like about Halloween, which is
witches. Hey, there we go. Well done.
it was a slow burn, but we got there eventually.
I bet you I'm not the only one who didn't get that.
Possibly.
Well, they say it's the way you tell them.
No, Sue Cressman. Now, this isn't right. You bought one. When are you going to do a broadcast showing us how to make the bread? Hopefully never.
Oh, yeah.
Andrea.
You need to do that.
What?
I do need to do that.
Right. Okay, fine. Thank you, Kimmy. Kimmy got it. The gag. Andrea Lucas. Oh,
Thank you, baked potato.
Andrea Lucas. Morning and happy birthday to Carlo on his 13th bark day. Yay!
Oh, he could have a bark mitzvah.
Oh, God almighty. Right. So I go along to the guy's hospital and I'm met by soldiers in uniform. And I've got to be honest with you, I was really nervous. What's the matter with you? What are you doing? What are you doing?
A delayed reaction to the bark mitzvah.
I'm trying to do a public service announcement about what it's like having a vaccination.
Oh, they don't care, for crying out loud. You go
All
in.
right, fine. I had a vaccination. I'm fine. Thank you very much. The end.
Perfect. I've just
All
saved
right.
15
The
minutes.
NHS was stunning. I mean, absolutely, completely brilliant. Everybody was charming. Everybody was efficient. They were helpful. They were nice. There were some people there who were elderly, don't do the jokes, and a little confused, and everyone was so patient with them. A couple of people were a bit difficult about masks. They were very patient with them. What?
I said, "Oh, for goodness' sake!"
Yeah, and well, and even after the injection, you had to go to a little area and sit down for 15 minutes, where you were offered tea or coffee as well.
No way, really?
Yeah, way.
Good grief.
I don't know if you're not familiar with Guy's Hospital. Sadly, I'm far too familiar with Guy's Hospital for a variety of things. And they keep patching me up, and bless them. And the atrium there is gigantic. So they converted the atrium into the vaccination center. And it was so well organized. It was safe, hygienic. I didn't have security guards at the entrance. So these were soldiers in uniform, simply making sure that you, and being incredibly polite. I mean, I can't praise every member of staff I met yesterday enough. The NHS at its finest, in all seriousness. And the soldiers were there simply to check that you were due. What's the matter? What's up now?
Do you feel happier knowing you've had the jab?
Totally.
Wow.
No, I was apprehensive. I don't know. I got nervous because it was a day trip out for me going to, hey, let's go to Guy's Hospital. Yay. So that was that. But it was so beautifully done, very efficient, ran like clockwork, and every single person could not have been nicer, more courteous. It was just great. And it was packed, but you didn't get a sense that it was crowded. Does that make sense? They'd spaced it perfectly. So they really had a whole factory going there. And did you find it an emotional experience? It's funny. This is from Ed Grossman. Did you find it an emotional experience? After the vaccination, I was sitting in this area, and by the way, they're wiping every surface constantly. The number of staff they've thrown at this is phenomenal.
Russ has never been so clean. No, they said they're wiping every surface, so I just assumed they were dampening you down or something.
Not me. They weren't wiping me down.
Oh.
Boy's a fool. Anyhow, we sat there in this area where you could be off a cup of tea or whatever. And then I'll come on to the negativity in a second. And people were looking around, and most of the people were older than me, has to be said. And if such a thing is believable. And there was a look of relief on their face, and people were smiling. And people were genuinely happy. So, Ed Grossman, did you find it an emotional experience? Yes, I think it was. Emotional. A lot of people felt, you could tell people were just beaming, literally just beaming with joy that it had gone through. Kimmy Lashmar has a sense of hope in the air. Yeah. Hope is in the air. Do, 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 do. Hope is in the air. Tony Monopoly. Used to be a monk.
By John Paul Old now.
John Paul. That was Tony Monopoly did that one, didn't he?
Yeah, I thought it was John Paul Young.
Was it? Interesting. Ed's saying some people were crying. And Sue Cressman, don't forget Sue had cancer. She's been through hell and back. At risk, obviously. I was so happy I felt I'd won the lottery when I had mine. Weirdly, just as the show started, I got a text from my GP surgery, come in for the vaccine. Good to see joined up thinking there for a second. I don't quite understand how that is. I'm going to tell them I've already had it. I had the Pfizer.
Oh, hang on. You know what you could do?
What?
You know what you could do? I'm just putting it out there. Why don't you arrange? I mean, I don't know whether or not you sort of been given a choice of dates.
I've already got my next date done. Got my little card. Everything done.
Really?
Yeah. Got it.
Look at that.
It's all
Is it 3 weeks' time?
No. It's not till April.
Oh, that's a shame.
Well, they must know what they're doing. I mean, that's my view. Interesting. Sue also had a text 2 days later. I don't quite know how that works out with him. Tina Holt. Tina Holt.
Tina.
Good morning.
Oh, I've just realised it's February now. Dry January's over.
Yeah, thank God. My dry January lasted till at least 20 minutes.
I just
waste of time. I could not be asked to do dry January in lockdown number 3. Yeah, Russ, don't drink at the same time.
Mind you, actually, I say I didn't do dry January, but I've been on a diet the last few weeks for most of January. So actually,
and how much weight have we lost, Philip?
So at the absolute worst, and I was very upset with this because I've never broken the 10-stone barrier before. So I was at 10
stone. I think my left leg weighs that.
I was 10 stone 2.
Oh,
right. So that wasn't particularly thrilling because I haven't actually sort of broken the 10-stone barrier before. Now, a few weeks later, after careful eating and controlled loss, I have gone down to about, I think it's 9 stone 9.5. So I still want to just shift that 2.5.
You're anorexic. This is the problem.
No,
with you. Yeah, anorexic.
I just want to shift that 2.5 pounds. 9.5 stone is where I should be, and I'm very happy with that.
I can't believe you're that light.
I say.
No, I've kept my weight absolute, thanks to Gail Nichols and not eating like a lunatic. Throughout the last year, 12 months plus, I've kept my weight static, which I'm really happy with. You know, under these crazy circumstances, we can only do what we can do. Dry January, go do one. I'm absolutely no interest in doing that whatsoever.
When you say static, what is in like it's got stuck to you?
Yeah, mainly around my arse. Anyway, there we are. Ed Grossman asked for chopped liver flavour, but he got the Pfizer. I got the Pfizer as well. I got so excited.
I bought bagels today as well.
You got what? You bought some?
I bought bagels
Could
today.
You post me a couple? Put them in a jiffy bag.
Yeah. Be with you in a jiffy.
Be with you. What's on the T-shirt, Russ? Says Emma Webb. What is on the T-shirt is, that's what I do. I play drums and I know things.
Good Lord.
That's it. I don't know much, just some things, but I do play drums. We had an interesting show. You know, we do. What diet are you on? You're lighter than me. Andrea.
Well,
yeah.
I have to tell you that there's no specific diet. It's just I eat very carefully. So I will always have a little bit of what I fancy, but cut out carbs.
Interesting. When he used to be, not only does he eat very carefully, but when he used to be in the Soho Whiskey Club, he buys drinks very carefully.
Ed Grossman's, it's true. Ed Grossman says, do you mean bagels? No, I mean bagels.
Oh, this is the, you see this? This is such a tiny little subtext. Only Lloyd Beanie, Ed Grossman, and a couple of others are going to get involved in this debacle. When I was growing up, my grandmother, who died 1 billion years ago, in Stanford Hill, they were bagels. They were always bagels. The American pronunciation was bagels. Now bagels has gone out the way, and they're just called bagels. Not that you can get them here. Drugs, whatever you want. Bagels, not so much. But you eat bread, says Sue Cressman, and that's carbs, isn't it?
You're quite right, Sue, which is precisely why I only eat bread maybe once, possibly twice a week. But more often.
Get out of town. You serious?
No, deadly serious. The rest
what
of
do you
the
have for breakfast? What do you
the rest of the week is carb-free porridge, because that's oats. It's not carb.
My ex, Sue Sleet, up in Fife. Listen to this. This is the weight difference here. Sue Sleet up in Fife via Bromley and Staples Corner. Weird, but that's true. My ex looked fat at 9.5 stone. Is normal. 7.5 stone? You're dating an 8-year-old or something. How can he be 7.5? Sue, you must be kidding me. 7.5 stone? Blimey.
No, in my early 20s, my waistline was, I think I was 28-inch waist.
You were a what? 20?
28.
Shut up.
Seriously, when I was in my early 20s, 28-inch waist.
Shut up.
Seriously.
Shut up.
And that's pretty much now how I remember my vital statistics, because my trousers are 30-30 and my eyes are 20-20. So it's perfect. So I remember.
Your trousers are 30-30?
Yes.
I've got gloves bigger than that. Is muesli carbs? No, muesli is not carbs.
I suppose you think I
Andrew
suppose.
Lucas, congratulations on joining the other radio station. Let me just thank you.
Yeah,
It's very, very sweet of you.
Line. I suppose you think that's immensely.
Moving on. It's very sweet. We haven't joined the other radio station. Just to be clear, we are exactly the same as it was. Men's radio station is the same director as me and Howard Jameson. Same thing. They're simply taking out what they call taking our feed, which in Phil's case is Holler. In everybody else's case, they're taking Phil and I's program Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then we might look at doing some other radio shows that they might want to take, because we've got some absolute belters. I don't know how many of you listen to. I know Chrissy does out in Spain, the ABC of CBD, which has turned into a monster of a show with Oliver Mammon. And one of the greatest satisfactions I've had, we did last night was our 19th show, 19 weeks.
Whoa, Ed Grossman.
You're 8 stone? Ed.
You shouldn't always go by weight. You guys know me, and I am 10.5 stone. That's one of the MRS.
Who is this, by the way?
One of the MRS team has written that.
I wonder who this is. Blimey O'Reilly. Chrissy Holt. Hi, boys. Lovely and sunny here. That's in Spain. I spoke to my bestie friend of 60 years last night. Today, I'm very happy. That's good.
Do a cooking show.
No, I don't want to do a cooking show. I have no interest in doing a cooking show.
You can call it Kane and Table.
That is good. I'm going to do a cooking show.
There you go. I'm on it. I'm telling you. I produced.
That is really good. Kane and Table. That's very clever.
Thanks.
It's very sweet. Great thing is going to happen. It's a great thing to happen. Thank you, Andrew. No, we're very flattered. We're very flattered to have been approached and asked, and it's nice. Of course it is, and it goes out to an even wider. I mean, they've got a big audience. These folks.
They have 4 people listening. We're so excited.
Have you seen their figures?
I'm joking.
It's huge.
Bill, man. Bill.
Andrew Lichtenfeld. That was me. How's Andrea able to do that?
That's very clever.
Sue able to do that.
Sorry, Ed Grossman just says hello. Sue Cressman says, yes, do a cooking show. You can swear as much as you like. Can we?
It hasn't stopped us in the past, has it? My favourite Gordon Ramsay one. Look at this. Look at this. There's so much effing oil on this. The Americans are about to invade your plate. I thought it was brilliant.
Whoa, poor Claridge. At my heaviest, I was 17 stone. Now, thanks to the big C and eating more healthily, I'm 11.5 stone, or 11 stone 5, I should say. I don't think it's 11.5. Technically speaking, 11.5 would be 11.7. So 11 stone 5. And P.S. The guys and girls the guys and girls at Guy's Hospital, that seemed easier to say when I was reading it, saved his life. Bravo.
Now we know who to blame.
Phil Russ, a whiskey show. Yes.
Now we could do that. Well, one of the things we will, if we ever get back to life,
no.
one of the we'll do a show. What's the matter now?
Your internet connection was cracking up.
Just then. No difference this end. No difference this end at all.
Oh dear. Do you know what you could call the whiskey show?
What? Go on.
Something like, well, let's see. Aged.
You ruined it. What?
No, aged, costly, and single.
What?
Or instead of young, free, and single.
No, if you had to explain it, it's not gay.
No, I know. A joke worth explaining. Well, there would have been that because they share the same level of intellect as I do, and I have a rather intellectual, comical wit about me.
Utterly delusional. Kimmy Lashmar, I watched the celeb home cooking show. You suggested it was good, wasn't it? It's really good. Claudia Winkleman's great in that. She's sorry, just to be clear, Russ, it was me who wrote 10.5 stone. Alexander Lichtenfeld is 10.5 stone. A mere sylph of a girl. Hardly anything of her. Turns sideways, she disappears.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is good. Right now, we could do whiskey. So we're going to do a show if we ever get out. If we ever go, we're going to go down to Nailcoat Hole. We're going to do a show from there. Definitely, we'll do a show from the Soho Whiskey Club. I don't know where else we do it. Panzers or somewhere stupid, and just have loads of people moaning in the queue. Pick somewhere really.
Oh my God. Brilliant. We can do a drinking show live from Soho. We'll call it Bottoms Up.
Yay! That's rude. Now you've upset a whole section of the community there, especially in Old Compton Street. Yeah,
hey, what are you talking about? I meant the Soho Whiskey Club, and we call it Bottoms Up. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, right. It's on Old Compton Street. You're saying Bottoms Up. Dangerous.
You've got a polluted mind, sir.
Obviously, you know that. We've matured well. I wish that were true, Kimmy.
I think so. That's what you can call it.
I don't think I've matured particularly.
That's what she says. I think she means that's what you can call the show.
Where do you think Kimmy's sitting? She's sitting in. That looks like her kitchen. Put the picture up again. Yeah, looks like a kitchen.
It also says 1 year ago.
Okay. Well, she's still here. That's the main thing. Paul Claridge, come down to East Croydon to do a show. We're not suicidal. We deal with suicide prevention, but we ourselves are not suicidal. I'm not coming down to East Croydon to face your Eastern European drug gangs. Thank you. That's my mum. Well, he didn't make that clear, did it?
That was all
being polite. I thought I didn't want to say that. Well, it is a tiny picture, and you know what my eyesight's like. Phil, the Antideck of Phil, do a mobile show, become the Antideck of radio.
I don't know about that. The problem is, if we were to become the Antideck of radio, we'd have to talk like that, man.
I can't do a Geordie accent.
All right, well,
veer into Yugoslavia.
Okay, I tell you what then. So, what's the 25th letter of the alphabet?
Why? Way.
Okay, and then what's this?
Hey.
There you go. Perfect. YI. You're well away.
No, the phrase to show you're a Geordie is to say Coda Colour Gold. That's the phrase.
Gold Lake.
Quarter colour gold. That's how you know you're a
You
Geordie.
come from Wales, clearly.
Yeah, I can't do it. It's fantastic. I spent quite a lot of time up in Newcastle, and it's brilliant up there. I'll tell you another great city.
Liverpool.
Liverpoolsian accent. Well, yeah, they spend a fortune there.
Is there anything you can say in a Liverpoolsian accent? It just makes you sound like you're having a laugh. You could talk about something really serious, like, I mean, you could turn around right now, and you could say to me, "This was somehow I've come from Cornwall or wherever it is, I don't know."
We've suddenly become Jethro. Go on.
I don't know what I was going to say now.
Oh my God! Hang on. Back to Paul Claridge. Snake hips, as I like to call him these days, because he was a big lad. And, oh my God, look at this. You read this out, Philip.
East Croydon staff stopped a suicide yesterday. Lady on one of the platforms threatened to jump. Some more worried about their late trains.
How did that work? When you say, Paul, she threatened to jump, I'm not being facetious. Did she say, I'm going to jump, or she was standing by the edge, or what was the deal there? And who stopped her? The staff. Did they talk her down or just grab her away from the edge? Or how did that all work? We had, who was it we had once? British Transport Police as guests. Do you remember? British Transport Police, senior policeman. Yeah, we had a senior policeman on. Yeah, you were faking. You were using Kimmy Lashmar's travel card, pretending your name was Kimmy Lashmar. That was it. And of course, the thing about it is, when people jump, it's all ghastly. Of course, no one thinks about the shock and the absolute trauma to the train driver.
Oh, I know. I tell you what,
it's
actually,
horrific. It's horrific.
Did I ever tell you that I was actually once on a train where someone did unfortunately jump in front of it, and the driver came over the town, because this is actually sort of a bridged version, which is quite unusual for me, but the train had stopped really suddenly, pulling into Queensbury station, So we couldn't quite understand why, myself, my fellow passengers couldn't quite understand why it had just stopped so abruptly, especially as we were nearly in the station. Anyway, stood there for about a minute, 2 minutes, seemed a lot longer. Driver suddenly comes over the tannoy, really shaken voice, along the lines of, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be here a while. Someone's just jumped in front of this train, really holding back.
That was acting.
That was such
that was acting, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. As we were nearly in the station, I can hear myself.
Can you? Don't know why.
I'm hearing voices.
Yeah. Well, I should be hearing Bill Gates as I had the vaccination yesterday.
It's true, actually, because now you can upgrade yourself without even have to leave your home. You just connect yourself to Wi-Fi and you're upgraded. You're fine.
My bill for my mobile phone's been slashed. It's fantastic. I'm connected straight through the nanobots to every 5G mast. Fabulous reception straight in my head.
It's fantastic. He's going to cover his canine in cyan. He'll have Bluetooth.
Bluetooth. Anywho, the thing is this: the train drivers, this means of killing yourself with a train, which is of course brutally awful and terrible, and for everybody concerned.
By and large, unsuccessful. By the way, seriously, if a train is just pulling to the station, apparently you're much more likely, according to someone I was speaking to, one of the, I think it was one of the officers I was speaking to around at the time, this was another occasion when I actually sort of just gone to a train station where someone had just done that. So of course all the trains.
Don't travel on a train station with Phil Dave.
Oh, I think I'm a curse. But anyway, when I was speaking to one of the station staff about it, they said they never understand why people do that. It's because if it's pulling into the station, the train is going too slowly. You're much more likely to, sorry if you're squeamish, lose a limb. That's
sure,
what you.
Of course you will. Which is why when people leap in front of an express train, I had a business partner once in another business, and his niece did exactly that.
Whoa.
I knew her well.
My God.
Yeah. Well, you're not going to come away with a couple cuts and bruises. You know, it's over. But for the driver, wow. Right. Let's go back. There's some very interesting comments here about accents. Sue Cressman, my black country accent only comes out when I meet my family. Strange, really. When my hubby talks to his family in the States, he speaks like a Yank for about half an hour later.
I think that
you know what, Sue, baby? I'm really loving this Nail Code Hall. What a place. You're a hell of a doll.
I think we're all voice chameleons in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I think that being a voice chameleon is a sign of being a decent person, because you're trying to put the other person at their ease to show that you're with them as opposed to against them.
What a mensch you are. Stephen Marsh. This is very interesting. Some great comments today. Thanks, everybody. I have a theory that the vast majority of COVID deniers will have their vaccinations. Oh, this is genius. But would tell everybody that they refused them. Your thoughts, please. I think the COVID deniers are... I'll clean up what I was going to say. I think they're about as useful as people who think that the earth is flat.
But the earth is flat.
Ladies and gentlemen, Phil Dave. I think they're lunatics. I had one person on my Facebook page. Oh my God. It's someone I know. Someone I've worked with. And I couldn't believe what this person had written. And then it turned out into, I stayed away from it. It turned into an absolute slanging match. I just thought it was rubbish. I don't have time for it. There's no point in debating it like it's a valid point. It's rubbish. You know, it's like wasting 20 minutes talking to someone who insists the earth is flat and you know it's not. What's the point of even wasting 10 seconds on it? They're idiots. Forget it. That's my view. Do you think they will? It's interesting, COVID denial. I mean, how stupid do you have to be to say there's no such thing? How stupid. I think you're ill. I actually think you're mentally ill. That's how I feel about it. I do. I think you're nuts. And they're given airtime. That's what I don't understand. They're given airtime. You know, I put it up there with Holocaust deniers. It's the same. It's the same insanity. It's an illness, and that's how it is. And I've got no time, no patience, and they won't get airtime on men's radio. That's guaranteed because they're stupid. They're stupid. And I actually do think, and I use the phrase advice, I think they are mentally ill. I just don't understand it. Are you getting an interesting text or are you reading a recipe? What are you doing there?
I was looking at a flash sale by a well-known airline company and
Are
deciding...
you kidding me?
What?
You're going to last one show on Deluxe Radio. Right, what have we got here? Here we go. Paul, now then, right.
Oh, my. Ramsey, you buried us. Hello.
That's all right. Good. He's doing us a
I had
favour.
experience on a platform at East Croydon. A train I was waiting for up to London was running late. So I stood at the edge of the platform.
Ooh, no.
God. And peered down the line from where I expected it to come south. Unbeknown to me, the train was actually coming the opposite direction.
Oh.
I didn't hear it coming from behind me, and it missed my head by a couple of inches at the most. Ramsey.
What's the matter with you?
Who sticks their head over a platform?
Are you crazy?
Oh,
Now, I don't know, Phil, you wouldn't know this, but when I was at school, the train that would go from Victoria Station down to had, you know, individual carriages, which I know don't exist anymore as far as I know. They don't, do they? And you could open the door. So all the notices was don't open the door because you're going to hit the passengers on the platform. You can't do that anymore. And it had windows, so people would always stick their head out. The train coming in the opposite direction. Boom! It wasn't good. Wow. Right, Paul Claridge. All right, going back to the lady who threatened to jump off the platform. She was seen by a staff member at the end of the platform, standing on the very edge. Oh, God. Oh. She was shaking and obviously upset. Platform staff stood near her and talked to her. The police arrived and gently persuaded her to leave with them. Station staff are trained to look out for such things. Bless them. When we had the guy, I know you can't remember, we had this very senior guy from British Transport Police. The number of people who do this is extraordinary. This is not a rare occurrence, you know. It just doesn't make the papers.
I don't understand why we don't, but I don't half wish that we'd hurry up and implement the Japanese system where they have barriers all along the edge of the platform.
Money. They got it on the Jubilee line. The Jubilee line, you can't, the glass door's shut.
Yep.
Train rocks up, the glass doors open, and then the carriage doors open, which I think is an eminently safe system.
Well, the plan is going to be, I don't know how it's going to be affected by the COVID outbreak, but the plan is going to... I'm just seriously, what the hell is wrong with you?
God, though. I got Bill Gates in my head. What do you want to know? I'm suddenly a member of the Illuminati.
He's had one vaccination and suddenly he's allergic to radio. Anyway, right.
I thought I'd switch my mic off as well. It's too late to be professional at my age. Go on.
Quite all right. Anyway, no, I was going to say that apparently the plan is, and don't ask me how I know this, it's just because I'm that kind of geek, that the plan is going to be, moving forward, that the Bakerloo line, the Piccadilly line, and the Central line, I think I'm right in saying, those three lines are all imminently going to have new trains put onto them. And when they have new trains, part of that redevelopment is they're going to put those glass screens all along the underground line.
Makes perfect sense. It's probably expensive, but it's a good thing to do, isn't it? It's a good thing.
Yeah. But then again, having said that, Transport for London is apparently broke under a certain mayor's leadership. So with that in mind,
he's a genius. Yeah, Sue Sleet. They also don't think of the impact, not the good word, Sue, not a good word there, on the on the police and staff of the station who've had to, I'm going to just say sort it out. I don't think I'm going to read out what you wrote. Oh God, you didn't, Sue. Oh my God. She had to do that after someone had jumped. Oh, wow. When you were 20 years old, you were a kid. That is shocking. She says she still has nightmares. I'm not surprised. They asked a 20-year-old kid to do that, Sue. That is appalling. God, you poor, poor woman. That is horrible. I mean, you weren't trained. I'm not going to get into the details because they're so vile. I'm suddenly in the knee-deep in a David Cronenberg movie, but you're not trained to do that. You're 20 years old at the time. You're not trained to do that. How traumatic.
Oof.
Phil's face is saying it all.
I mean, I don't, but I've gone a bit pale. I can feel I have because it's made.
I know you actually have gone a bit pale.
Yeah, don't know. It's really strange.
Did you do that, Phil? I couldn't do it. There's absolutely no way. I got enough trouble picking up the dog poo. That's enough for me.
When I have the safety of a screen in front of me, in other words, a television screen, a mobile device, whatever it is, I can actually watch quite high levels of gore. And whether it's real life or whether it's film, reenactment, whatever it is, I have a reasonably strong stomach for stuff like that. But I've been lucky enough to never had to see it in real life. I've been close to it. I explained I've been on or around 2 trains when someone's been in front of it.
Yeah.
And yet, I think if I had to do it in person, I'd be very different. Actually, the nearest.
Yeah, no way I could do it.
Actually, I tell you why. It's because I remember once seeing. Yeah, I mean, this is an image I won't forget in a hurry. I was around. Not that it makes a difference. I was around Maida Vale, and coming out of ordinarily coming out of a side turning was this massive HGV truck. Coming out of a side turning, clearly wasn't looking. Cyclist went in front of said truck, smacked right into it. Now I have to tell you,
not on the inside, so the cyclist didn't go on the left, which is the
no. It was a crossroads. Okay, so this was a crossroads. The truck was waiting to turn out of a side turning. Clearly wasn't concentrating. The cyclist was on the road that the truck would have turned out into. So actually, it was the cyclist's right of way. And I don't often stand up for cyclists, believe me.
Precisely.
The cyclist went in front of the vehicle. Lorry driver didn't look. Bang. And then next thing you know is the cyclist was underneath. Now I have to tell you, I have no idea how this happened, but the cyclist crawled out from underneath, got up and walked away. But it was only because the truck was stationary and was just taking off, just about to drive off.
Yeah, I get that. So the acceleration was slow.
It was that vision. And I was with a former colleague from a radio station I worked at years and years and years and years ago.
Okay.
And he, although a bit of an individual at the best of times, he jumped out straight into action, was going to help. I sat in the driver's seat and I just froze. Couldn't do a thing.
And yet the reverse happened with James Max in your car, where he froze and you sprang into action.
It's strange. Very, very odd. Don't understand why.
It's weird. We all think we can do stuff, and when it happens, we're rubbish. Or the absolute opposite. Sue Cressman says, COVID deniers are nuts. They obviously haven't lost someone they care about to this dreadful virus. I don't know what it is with them. I don't understand. All right, let's be grown up about this. The people who say there's no such thing as COVID, you're as mad as a box of frogs. The end. I'm not even going to debate this with you. You're an idiot. The people who can criticize and say we should have done this, absolutely. There's legitimacy to that argument. Should have closed the ports, should have closed the airports. Totally. People who say, I'm not going to wear a mask because it doesn't do anything, I don't have a lot of patience for that. It's slightly more arguable. Slightly. But I assume that people who have spent years and years and years dedicating their life to the medical profession know more than a hairdresser from Stoke-on-Trent. That's my view. Call me crazy. But the people who say there's no such thing, and this is all a big, huge conspiracy, you are just nuts. I mean, what is the matter with you? I don't get it. I don't know if it's attention seeking.
No, I think it's actually worse. I personally, and I'm no psychologist, but I could well believe this is the case. Some people can't compute. They can't actually understand or fathom the scale of what's going on. And therefore, the easiest way for them to deal with it is to deny it, rather than to actually learn to live with it, to comprehend what they're hearing and to understand what they're hearing about. I would have thought that their default mode, their easier mode, an easier way of doing it is just la la la, fingers in the ear, it's not happening, it's a load of nonsense. That's the only thing I can think of.
What they do, which it does infuriate me, is they take little bits of knowledge and little bits of information and they misquote. So yesterday, I'm apprehensive. I'm going off for the vaccination. And this particular person who I have worked with, which made it even, did this whole long harangue that it wasn't safe, it hadn't been tested, this, that, and the other, and all this crap was going to happen to me, right? And I just said, I find this exceptionally unhelpful. And I left it at that, and I haven't spoken back since. But somebody else lost their temper with this other person and just took them to task. But it's what they do is they get bits of reports and bits of information, and they twist it so that it looks kind of almost vaguely plausible.
And now, speaking of, and this is not a flippant link, so forgive me, but speaking of bits of information, coming up at midday today, we're going to be meeting a chap by the name of Michael Green. And in particular, we're going to be talking about colorblindness. So I wanted to give you a little heads up now.
This was a fellow I spoke to. I thought it was such an interesting subject. I thought, let's get him on.
But I had no idea that apparently it is as many as 3 million people are affected by colorblindness.
Yeah, I know.
3 million.
It's amazing, isn't it? I've got to shut my door. Shut that door, shut that door. It's freezing cold in here.
What is wrong with him? Seriously, can someone tell me what the heck is going on? Oh, for goodness sake, now my phone's going. What on earth is the matter with him today? Seriously. And you would not get this on BBC Radio 4, would you? Sorry, I've just got to go and shut my door. Seriously? Anyway, you can see he's making his way back now.
Shut that door.
All right, Larry Grayson.
I'm feeling rather queer. Shut that door, shut that door.
Andrew Lucas has got the right idea. Andy Lucas says you've had too many cigars. Wow.
I haven't had any, actually. As a matter of fact, I haven't had any. I never smoked during the day.
Hang on. Ed Grossman. What is wrong with you? Are you okay?
Bit late to ask you that. Should have asked me that when I was 14.
Grossman says, Phil, yes, I'm colorblind. Wow. Okay, so hold that thought. Really, we've got to talk about this.
What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? You've suddenly gone quiet. So we've got to talk about this, and then silence.
No. I mean, when Michael joins us in just a moment, we must talk about it.
I don't remember how we reached out. I've completely lost the plot. And we had a chat or an email chat or whatever. I was absolutely astounded by that. And what he's going to talk about, and Ed's going to like this. I know. I didn't know you were colorblind, Ed. Is trying to watch sport, which never occurred to me. Why would it? Didn't occur to me. It's a really interesting thing. Accents, Kimmy Lashmar. When I'm trying to learn, when I trying to learn French, my Welsh keeps coming back to me.
What? When you try and learn French, Welsh comes back to you. How does that work?
I don't know, she's quite odd.
Getting between Gaelic and Gaelic.
Oh, that's very good.
Thank you.
That is one of your best. Bizarrely, I tried to learn Welsh in my teens. Why? Why would you do that?
I've got to be honest, actually. Welsh is quite a useful language to know when you're in Wales.
It's not even handy for sheep. Sue Crespin, our deputy manager at Nailcoat's colourblind. He wasn't allowed to go into the military services. The other thing you can't do is fly a plane. And the reason you can't fly a plane if you're colourblind is very straightforward. when you're landing a plane on the runway, you have lights, green lights, red lights, obviously. And if you can't tell which color it is, you're in deep doo-doo because you think, yeah, I think I'll just land. No, the lights are saying don't land, but you can't see that. Here we are. Dave Sleet, the voice of reason.
Bringing a bit of intellect to the conversation.
A little bit of psychological depth.
Dave Sleet says the whole realm of conspiracies is rooted in desire to comprehend and explain. Thank you. That's kind of really the intelligent way of saying what I was kind of thinking. In world of reduced trust, in a world of reduced trust, I'm guessing, understanding and belief. Sorry, that intelligence was short-lived, wasn't it, really? I mean, you missed off the A. Come on, Dave, sort it out. In a world of reduced trust, understanding and belief in the explanations the public are given. Wow. Look at that.
No, I actually think they are ridiculous show-offs in many ways. I'm so clever, you're all so stupid. But it's, Dave, answer me this. You're a top psychologist, all right? Dave Sleet, top psychologist, and deals with some of the world's greatest psychiatrists and psychologists and counselors. It's the arrogance that comes with it. That's what baffles me. It's the absolute assurance that they're right and everybody else is a moron and completely stupid and wrong. I don't know where that comes. Where does it come from? Where does it come from? It's extraordinary. Paul Andrews says, hang on. Ramsey says, if people are colorblind, why aren't the lights on traffic lights different shapes? Ramsey, I don't run the world. I don't know. Paul Andrews, or captain a ship, it's the red and green lights on the sides of the wings. You can't distinguish. We tell you which way the plane or boat is facing. Useless facts of the day, not useless at all, because I was thinking of captaining QE2. Ed Grossman knows why. Kimmy Lashmar, is it that people want to do whatever they want regardless? Yeah, just a bit. Totally. The thing that stuns me is the politicization of wearing a mask. It's not a political act. It's an act of decency to other human beings and your fellow citizens. It's an act of decency to your family. It's an act of decency to yourself. It's not a political act. It's rubbish. It's just rubbish. We live in such bizarre times. Sadly, they believe they are right and try to indoctrinate others to their beliefs, which is it is a sect. It is like some mad commune. It's like Waco,
I just don't understand it. I mean, what I don't get is why people are so suspicious. It's every single person has got the worst possible view of everyone else. Yep, that's the only way to look at it. And I'm, if I say so myself, an extraordinarily trusting person. I trust everyone for some ridiculous reason. Only once that trust has been shattered, then do I not trust them. Because I think everyone deserves to be trusted, first of all. And then if they let me down, I'll say, no, okay, right, well, now I know. The problem is it's very hard to reach.
Would you give them a second chance?
It really depends who it is, but I'm always scarred by it, even if I do.
Stephen Marsh, this is a good word. I have no idea what it means. Deuteranopia. What is that? Deuteranopia.
You said it.
You said it. Silly bitch. I don't know what it means. Stephen, explain yourself, boy. Yes, you at the back. Boy, I'm talking to you. Put that ruler down. Marsh, face the front.
No, Chris, I dropped my French, says Kimmy. I wasn't. But mon ami.
Ed Grossman has explained this about Ramsey says why aren't the signals on traffic lights different? It says it's the sequence: red and amber, green, amber, red,
as opposed to amber red.
You're on fire.
I know, right? Michael Green, by the way, is sitting very patiently in the digital green.
What's he ever done for you? What's he ever done?
And he looks, I have to tell you, suitably trepidatious. as to what the heck he's getting himself into. But it's fine. It's all good. Trust me, Michael, everyone loves this program. Well, I'd say everyone. The viewing figures are through the roof.
Oh my God. Deuteranopia is color blindness between red and green. Stephen, no one likes to show off. Thank you, Stephen. That's very interesting, actually.
Right. It's midday.
What does that mean?
It means
it's the end of the show. Bye, everybody.
It means that it's time to welcome our first guest. I'm looking forward to this conversation because I may be mistaken, but I don't believe we've ever spoken about the subject of color blindness before on Men's Radio. It's important. It affects millions of people in this country, and our next guest is one of them. Welcome, Michael Green. Michael, good afternoon, sir.
Hi, Phil. Hi, Russ. Good afternoon, everybody. Nice to be here.
Thank you very much. And as we like to say, thank you for not having bookshelves behind you, because we're so bored of bookshelves. It's lovely just to see a nice black and white print.
Who the heck would be stupid enough to have a bookshelf behind them, right?
Mad. Anybody's mad, you're right.
Now, I tell you what you have got behind you is years of a very impressive career that you have got behind you. And I'm wondering, sort of, with a condition such as colorblindness, whether or not sort of did you feel the pinch of being in the working environment, or was it just something that you've always had, you've always been used to, and therefore it never really affects you? Because I thank God I can't relate to colorblindness, so I'm not actually sure what kind of impact it has on your life.
Right. It's very interesting because lots of people say to you, well, what could you see? What can't you see, etc., etc. The answer is I don't know what I can't see because I've been like this since the day I was born. So I'm used to this now. Yeah. What I do know is that where you are able to differentiate between certain colors, my brain and my eyes can't link with each other, and therefore I can't. So,
how do you know that? I know that sounds really flippant, but I'm being deadly serious. How do you know you can't tell the difference between colors if you've never known any different?
Correct. Well, the question I would put back, if I'm allowed to, is how do you know that what you see is right? You see colors. No, that's the point. You see colors because you've been taught them. And therefore, you know that grass is green, you know that trees are whatever, etc., etc. And therefore, you've always been taught the differential, that's what they are. I obviously see something different to you, but the answer is I don't know what I see different to you. I just know what I see. So have I ever missed anything? Not really, because I've never had anything different. It's not like I was born okay and then I go blind and therefore I can't see. This is how I've always seen the world. So that's what I'm used to. Does that make sense?
Michael, you raised such a valid point because I've always said, and people think I'm bonkers about this, I believe that colors are subjective. So just because, it's probably not a very good example, actually. Hang on a second, because this is obviously, right, okay, hang on a second. So I've got a tape measure here. Now, I can clearly see that the front of this is yellow. Other people can probably see it's yellow. But I can't help but wonder whether or not what I see as yellow is the same as, say, what Russ sees as yellow.
Or what I see. Now, you see primary color like yellow or clear blue or a Man United red, for example, I can see. So, oh dear, I know. No, don't worry, I'm a Leeds supporter, so I chose my team very carefully because they play in white. I've never got a problem. But if you take that tape measure again, Phil, take that tape measure a minute. No, just put the tape measure up, right? Now, that to me is not a pure yellow. I know it's yellow, but it's not what I would class as a pure yellow. It's an off yellow. But because I know it's yellow, because tape measures have yellow bits on it, I know that. But I could mistake that for lime or something. Okay?
Wow.
Whereas if you got a daffodil and put that daffodil next to that tape measure, to me they would be two different colours.
Wow. Ed Grossman's got a good point. It could be Michael Red or Michael Blue.
Well, it's often been questioned why the hell I had my surname as I did. But it is very interesting. I mean, you go back, if I may, Russ, to your first point. I got on the bandwagon of this a few weeks ago. I've been banging the drum about colour blindness for a long time. Never got anywhere. And it came to a head 3 weeks ago. I was sitting here on a Sunday afternoon. I was watching football on the television. It was Liverpool versus Manchester United at Anfield. Now, both clubs play in red normally. The away team's prerogative, or what they should do, is to change their colours accordingly. What I didn't know at the time was the Premier League have a computer program that works out what teams play in what colours and advise them if they think there is going to be a colour clash.
Right.
On that particular day, Manchester United were advised that there was going to be a colour clash because obviously they play in red and Liverpool play in red. They then said they were going to go and play in what is officially their grey away kit. Well, their grey away kit actually looks green to somebody like myself. So they were advised this. Manchester United very, very decently agreed, well, we're not changing our kit because we've got our sponsors to please and everything else, but we will change our socks. So instead of playing in red socks, they played in white socks. So Liverpool were playing in all red with red socks. Man United were playing in this grey kit with white socks. Well, to someone like me, that was two teams playing in red, but the only differential was one team playing in white. So the way I would say to you, somebody that can see all the colours, and I'm sorry to use a football analogy, but if Arsenal went out against Manchester United, both who play in red, and I said to a player, both teams are going to be in red today, the only difference is one of the teams will play white socks. That's what they would have to see, which is what we see as colourblind people, red-green, the similarity. There is no differential. And my argument is I don't think people taking enough cognizance of this. And when I had the chat with Russ a few weeks ago, and I said there are 3 million people in this country who are colourblind, you were staggered, weren't you, Russ? By that
I was amazed, absolutely amazed.
And of that 3 million, 98% are men. So 1 in every 12, yeah, exactly. 1 in every 12 males in this country are colourblind. 1 in every 200 women are colourblind. It's much more prevalent in men than it is in women. So if you work on the assumption that 1 in every 12 men is colourblind, you can bet your bottom dollar there's a fair chance that 1 in every football team is colourblind. But nobody ever says anything. Nobody ever thinks it. And it's not just football. It's right across the spectrum of sport. We start the Six Nations rugby this weekend, and on Sunday, Wales play Ireland. I promise you now, I cannot watch that game because Wales will be in red, Ireland will be in green, and I can't tell the difference. And it was very interesting. On another channel this morning, I listened to a rugby union touch judge talking about when he had to run the line in the Wales-Ireland game, and he was petrified he was going to make a mistake because he couldn't differentiate. But thankfully, when he's actually on the pitch, the difference is not as bad as it is when you're watching on television. It's much worse when you're watching it on telly. But it's a major problem. And at this moment in time, if you think that 5% of the population are colourblind, a lot of us are stuck at home having to watch TV because we can't do anything else. Not enough cognizance is being taken about this as an issue. And if you go back to traffic lights,
Michael, what could they do? Outside of football, what could they do?
I think there has to be a better understanding and a realization that there are issues. I mean, you talk about traffic lights, and now I obviously know the order, but if you ask me what is the green, well, it's not green, it's white to me. What is the amber? Yes, it's yellow. And what is the red? It's actually a dirty yellow, funnily enough. But I know the order, so I'm okay with it. But if I take you back, and going back a long time, my brother was driving on the motorway outside Leeds, and they had the flashing lights overhead the motorway saying that one of the lanes was closed. My brother went in it, and his argument in court was, because he got done, his argument in court was the differential of the lights flashing wasn't great enough, because he's colourblind as well, wasn't great enough for him to see that there was a problem. Leeds County Court let him off and made a big decision around motorways around Leeds where they changed the lighting structure so it was a clearer differential between the lights. Because there are problems. Yeah.
Oh, I see. So what? Like it was a.
It was a red, or it was a red saying the lane was closed. But when the cross, it goes to a cross if lane closed. It wasn't clear enough that lane was closed. He couldn't see it.
Okay.
It's hard to explain because there is, and I don't mean this rudely, but there is an ignorance about it. It was very interesting. A colleague of mine after the Liverpool Man United game was actually on Sky Sports News. She went on, she runs the Colourblind Association. She went on, talked about it. There were lots of tweets about it and everything. You cannot believe the ignorance of some people who respond to say, you're making it up, you're making an excuse, It's only because Man United and things like this. Man United didn't win because they couldn't see the other players. It's rubbish. People don't understand the severity of it. Yet it's not a disability. It's just a problem that we have. But as I said earlier, I'm used to it now, so I don't see it as a problem. I manage it. But I have to have my. Sorry.
Okay, I was just going to say, but in what way could people be more understanding? Because I've never been. I think, when you're at school, people to some degree teach you about maybe visual, even up from years ago when I was at school, they teach you sort of a little bit about visual impairments. You have to be aware of the fact that some people can't necessarily see, and therefore you shouldn't put obstacles in the way of others. That's why we have pavements that have raised bumps by crossing, because that's to help people who are visually impaired. Yep. All of these things that you're sort of taught over the years about someone who has a visual impairment. But I never remember anyone ever teaching me anything about color blindness.
I think that's the problem. I mean, I tried to remember. I was trying to think earlier. When did I actually find out I was colorblind? We knew that potentially there might have been a problem because it is genetic. So it was handed from my grandfather through my mother to both my brother and I. So it goes male through a female to a male. So then I had daughters, and the logic would have been that if my eldest has had two boys, automatically I assumed my two grandsons would be colorblind. Funnily enough, they're not. So it hasn't gone through my elder daughter. It might go through my younger daughter. But I was trying to remember, when did I actually find out? And I think it was when I was at school, and I had an art teacher, Mr. Atkinson, who was a right nasty you-know-what, because he couldn't accept that I wasn't very good at art, and I just couldn't get my colours right. And it never dawned on him or me that maybe I had a problem. When they came to school to do different medical tests and whatever, one of the tests they did was Japanese test with little dots. I don't know if you've heard it. It's called the Ishihara test. And it's a lot of dots, and inside the dots, there are numbers. If you are colorblind, you cannot read number. So that was the way I found out that I was colorblind. And I'll give you probably an example that's slightly easier for you to understand. The old CNA.
I've just suddenly remembered. I actually do know which test you're talking about.
Me too.
What it's called, but I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, it was a Japanese professor who came up with it. And if you're colorblind, you can't. But there are certain numbers you can see that normal blind color people who see all colors can't see. So it works both ways. But I didn't realize, for example, on the old CNA carrier bag. Remember CNA going back years?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
The old CNA carrier bag, lots of dots on the side. I just thought it was dots until it was pointed out to me, and I had to look very carefully. It actually had the word CNA in it because the colours didn't jump out to a colourblind people. You said,
here's a good question for you, Michael. It's from Ed Grossman, who, as we've established, is colourblind himself. Michael, is it the same issue, say, with QPR? Now I know they're called the Hoops, because my mate Jeff Stevenson. Can you see the lines?
I can see the blue and white of QPR, so I don't have a problem. So that's not a problem. But what's very interesting, and it's a great question, but I remember watching it a long time ago, Sunderland playing Newcastle. Now, in the old days, before the shirts were slightly changed, Sunderland were red and white stripes. Newcastle were black and white stripes. Well, to you guys, clear differential, absolutely not a problem. To us, there were 22 players all playing for the same thing because you just cannot see the difference. Same when Sheffield United played Sheffield Wednesday. They both used to have red and white for Sheffield United, blue and white for Sheffield Wednesday. But we shouldn't just make it that this is a football problem. It's not. This is a social problem because there are so many instances.
It's true. Essex Adventure, somebody called Toby. It's true. Yeah. Listen to this. My brother's colorblind. He found out when he applied to become an electrician and did the Ishihara test.
There you go. Brilliant.
Wow. You see, I never thought. Phil, did you think of that? I never thought electricians obviously blue and different coloured wires. Oh my god!
Yeah. Never thought
that's a bit awkward.
Hold on, it goes much further than that. I can't choose my own clothes. I have to be very, very simply dressed in mainly navy or black. I always used to wear a navy suit for work with a blue shirt and whatever. My wife would have to choose the tie I wore. I can't go out and buy my own clothes because you can't differentiate.
Do you know what? It's weird, and I had forgotten this, Michael. I think my dad was partially colourblind.
Right. Okay.
And
have you got a sister?
Me, not that I know of.
No, right. No,
the way this show runs, suddenly someone says, "Hi, Russ, I'm your sister."
No, it would have been passed through your sister down to your nephews.
No. But
right.
he was. I said, "Why the hell are you wearing that tie? What? It goes perfect." I said, "It clashes," and then eventually my mum would have to sort the whole thing out. It was very, very interesting.
I play a lot of golf. I daren't put a red tee down because I would never see it. I have to play with white tees because that's the only way I can pick it up and see it against the grass after I hit it. But I don't see it as a problem. I just see it as part of my life because I've had it for all my, since the day I was born, really.
Now now you're saying you play golf. Here's something from Martin Allen. I have a very good golfing friend who's colorblind with green. With green, he sees blue. He can see a golf ball miles away as white stands out. Is that right?
Wow.
It's very interesting. I mean, thankfully my long sight is good anyway. I can see a ball miles away. People can't believe that I can see where a ball lands and they haven't got a clue. And I'll say it's in a bunker. No, it's short. No, I'm telling you, you're in the bunker. And I'd never actually thought that maybe that was an advantage of the differentials working for me as against me. But yes, I can see golf balls much better. I can't see orange balls, and I definitely can't see pink balls. So all these people who like to try and play with a different ball, I say to them, you can play, but don't expect me to help you find it because there's no chance. But a white ball absolutely stands out very clearly. And except in the snow, of course.
Except in the snow. When you're teeing off and you're and you're there, what colour's the grass? Green?
Right. Well, that's a great question. I've been taught that it's green, but to me, grass looks dirty yellow. It looks a darker shade of what Phil showed me on that tape measure.
Michael, I'm not being silly, but how do you know that that's what it looks like then? If you can't see green, how do you know what green should look like then?
Right. I can see a colour. But colour blindness is a colour deficiency, and it's getting the brain to tell the eyes exactly what it is. So I've been taught that grass is green, but to me, it doesn't look like a colour. To me, it looks like a dirty yellow, right? So for example, I go back to my rugby. When I watch Ireland at the weekend, I know they play in green shirts. When I watch Celtic, I know that they play in green shirts. But that's only because I know it. But if I look at the colour, it doesn't look anything but a darker shade of that tape measure.
2 points here. 3 points here. Stephen Marsh. These are all questions for you, Michael. You're certainly resonating with everybody all over the world. Michael, serious question. Are you more comfortable watching a black and white TV than a colour TV?
No, absolutely not. But if you remember, I don't know if you'll remember this, it's a fantastic question, but there was a snooker commentator called Ted Lowe. And Ted Lowe's
Whispering Ted.
But Ted Lowe's very, very famous comment was, I think it was Joe Davis. Joe Davis is going for the blue. And for those of you that are watching in black and white, that's the one behind the yellow, right? That was his very famous line.
You did say it. True.
But no, I'm not better off watching it. I can't tell any different. But I suppose if you've got two sets of colours, and if I was watching that Man United Liverpool game, it would look absolutely one colour. It would just be black. So no is the answer.
Was Ted Lowe related to Ludlow?
Was Ted Lowe?
Ed Grossman. Don't even go there, Michael. Ed Grossman says, people on TV are advised that wearing red is important because it stands out more than any other colour. I wore red in a documentary and the whole world knew it was me. Okay. And Kimmy Lashmar has a question for you, Michael, which is this. Is it purely hereditary? Apparently red is a danger sign, as apparently red stands closer. Is that hazardous to colour blindness? Red, I'm not quite sure what that means. Lost me.
It's not necessarily hereditary. I mean, the majority of people who are colourblind, it is hereditary. But as you get older, things like diabetes and other ailments can cause you to lose your clarity of sight, so I'm told. So I think the majority of people through it is hereditary, but there are other ways that in time it can diminish.
When you watch snooker, I don't know if you do watch, what happens then? Is that utter chaos for you?
Absolute chaos. I mean, the differential between a red and a brown is nigh on impossible. So watching it or even playing it. So when you're playing it and you should be able to see things much clearer, I can't. I have to be, I have to ask all the time, is that the brown or is that the red? And even the green and the pink, it's very difficult to differentiate. So I blame my absolute atrociousness on the snooker table down to my colour blindness. Nothing to do with my cueing action or anything.
Nothing at all. Nothing to do with the fact you can't play snooker.
Correct.
When we were chatting a few weeks ago, I mentioned something to you to a lecture I'd been at a long time ago by Deepak Chopra at the Geographical Society, and it was an amazing talk. And it answers something that Phil asked you at the front end of our conversation today. And it was this Deepak Chopra, who spoke for 2 hours, and he had no notes. It was extraordinary. And on the desk, sort of the lectern, was a rose, single rose in a vase. And it was a red rose. And he said, well, what are we looking at? So everyone goes, a rose. He says, and what colour's the rose? And everyone goes, well, it's red. And he said, well, how do we know that? So we're thinking, well, this is weird. And he said, well, you see a red rose. A dog will come along and say, no, the rose is black and white. A snake will sense there's a rose there because it looks on a totally different spectrum. A bat will know that the rose is there, but through sonar. And his question, which has fascinated me ever since, I put it in my first book, was what actually does the rose in reality look like? Because all those things are right. It's right we see a red rose, but it's also right the dog sees a black. So what does the rose really look like? And that's kind of can't answer.
I can't answer. I mean, I'm looking across at flowers that I've got behind the computer here, and there is a white rose absolutely shining out at me because it's pure white and I can see it. And I know it's white because I've grown up knowing what white is. There are a myriad of other colours there. There is just no way I can differentiate. And probably one of them is a red rose, but I've no idea. I might know it's a rose, but I won't know what the colour is. I can see the variance of colours, but probably, and this is what I can't answer, maybe not. I don't see the differential as much as you guys do. So you don't know what I see, and I don't know what you see. I just know that they're there, but a dark colour, which is probably red, from where I'm sitting, looks black.
It's all a bit mind-blowing when you think about it, really.
It's so interesting.
And that's where I think this is brilliant, and I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity. I just think there's a lack of understanding generally. 3 million people in this country, 300 million in the world. So if you take the whole of America as just part of the world, that whole country is colorblind, or that amount of people.
Yeah.
That's 5% of the world's population. It's quite a big figure that people don't talk about, really.
So you got nowhere in trying to move this forward, make it, bring it onto the table.
Well, it's very interesting you say that, because since this thing 3 weeks ago, when I was had nothing else to do on a Sunday afternoon, but that particular afternoon, I wrote to the Premier League, I wrote to both Liverpool and Manchester United, and I wrote to the Secretary of State for Sport and Culture, etc., etc. I got absolutely nothing back from the Premier League, which says it all, although I have since learned that they do have, as I said, this thing within their computer program when they work out fixtures that flags up if there's a colour problem. I got nothing from Liverpool. I got a letter of apology from Manchester United saying that they had agreed to change their socks, but they now realise it is a bigger issue than they had realised.
Oh, I thought you meant performance.
Sorry?
I thought you meant for their performance, but okay, for the socks.
Oh, yeah, no, about the socks. But then also I got a letter back from the Secretary of State who said, we can't do anything to a Premier League issue. What was very interesting, the following Sunday, Liverpool were playing Manchester United again in the FA Cup. And that falls under the auspice of the Football Association, the FA, rather than the Premier League. The FA rang my colleague, this lady who was on Sky Sports News from the Colourblind Awareness Association, 4 days before the game to say, Liverpool in their away kit of turquoise, are you happy with that? So we are getting somewhere. So we are getting really somewhere. Good. Yeah, it was good. And then again, as I say, it was on a national radio station for an hour this morning as a debate with this touch judge from the rugby, etc., etc. And it really did stimulate a lot of discussion. So maybe we are getting somewhere. Look, it's small steps. And I'm on a bandwagon now because I believe very, very forcibly that for future generations, we've got to help. We have got to help because it is an issue.
I think it's not people don't care. And I think Kimmy Lashmar, one of our listeners, sums it up. She says, "Thank you for bringing this to our attention, Michael. We should all be more considerate. How can people help more?" I don't think that people are going, "Well, I don't give a stuff." I think it's that we didn't know.
Yeah,
exactly.
We didn't know.
If I said people didn't care, I got it wrong. I think there's, and I use this word advisedly, there's an ignorance because there's a lack of understanding, and that's really what I'm trying to get at.
It's a lack of it's ignorance in the correct sense, in as much as we didn't know the information. As I said, when I had that first initial chat with you, you said that I thought you were going to say there's like 3.5 people, and the bloke up the road. And you say 3 million. I was like, what? Yeah. It's a big number. It's a big.
It's a big issue, and more importantly, there are a lot of people. If you go back to the sport thing, I didn't know before I started this a few weeks ago. Jurgen Klopp, manager of Liverpool, is actually colourblind, right? They were telling me this morning, or he was telling on the radio this morning. This touch judge, this is a great story actually. Scotland, the Rugby International, were playing up in Aberdeen, and it was snowing. So this guy was the referee for the game, and he said to the groundsman, "What can you do?" He says, "Don't worry, you go back into the changing rooms. I'm going to, in inverted commas, re-whitewash the lines in a different colour. You don't have to worry. I promise you, you'll be able to get this game going ahead." They came out to line up for the national anthems. He had painted all the lines, instead of white, he painted them red.
Wow.
With the best intentions, but the referee couldn't tell where the lines, which was grass, and what were the lines. And then he also found out the Scotland Rugby Union captain was colourblind as well. So they had to redo the lines. I don't know what colour they did him in the end, but there you go. So it can happen in so many different walks of life. And
in that situation,
I need a permission to ask what might sound a really silly question, okay? Because I know that my ignorance is vast on this subject. It's terrible. But thank you, because you're certainly helping enormously, trying to help us all understand it. Exactly the same way that if someone has a problem with their vision, in terms of maybe they're short-sighted, long-sighted, whatever it is, they can wear glasses. Is there anything that helps you? Or is it you are colorblind, that's it, you've got to accept it?
I am told, I believe there are contact lenses or glasses that you can get that clarify the differentials in colours. I've never tried them because, as I said earlier, I've just accepted this is the way I am. I can deal with it. I haven't got a problem, except when I'm trying to watch a game where the colours are too similar. But on the whole, I've lived with it. But there are supposedly contact lenses you can get which help you differentiate the colours a little bit clearer, because that's what it is. It's not a blindness. Go back to, I can see the colours, but it's the differentiation and the brain telling the eye exactly what that colour is.
No, it's odd that Phil's asked that, because it's just stirred a memory with me that I saw on YouTube a video of a chap who had been colorblind all his life, and his daughter was over in America, bought him these glasses, took him outside, he put the glasses on, and he started crying and everything. That's American for you. But suddenly he could differentiate for the first time ever, which was it was a very moving thing to watch. It was lovely.
Well, so I've never tried it. Yeah,
I assume they're obviously horribly expensive. I guess I don't know.
I would imagine so. Look, as I say, I'm used to it. I accept it. I am just trying to make people a little bit more aware that where they can do something to make life easier, there are ways around it. So,
is there an association or anything like that, Michael?
Yes, there is a Colourblind Awareness Association. They do great work, and this is the young lady that I was mentioning before. They're based out in High Wycombe, but they're there to help. They're there to help, and I know a lot of people use them. How far they get, and she's actually been, and this is what I've learned in the last few weeks as well, she's been working with FIFA and UEFA on this whole project of awareness gathering and education. And that's really what this is. This is an education program and an education process, and opportunities like this help to educate.
It's really, excuse me, it's really very interesting, extraordinary stuff. You had a very illustrious career.
Well, I don't know about illustrious. I had a very varied career. I was very lucky. I worked for Marks and Spencer for a long time. My father before me, and then I had to apply without him knowing, because he really wanted me to be a nice, exciting accountant. So I went into Marks and Spencer. I had a fabulous career in M&S, and then I got into the shopping centre industry at the real boom time. I was very fortunate, mid-90s through to 2015, where shopping centre industry was just doing that, all the new ones right around the country, etc., etc. But that had its difficulties as well, because working in retail, and particularly when I was actually in the store side of Marks and Spencer, at one stage I was the floor manager of their flagship store in Marble Arch at Oxford Street.
Blimey.
Well, can you imagine trying to manage ladies' outerwear or ladies' fashion and not being able to tell the difference of all the colours? It really wasn't probably the best appointment in my life. But I had to deal with it. Although the funny story was, our chairman at the time, when I was then looking after the lower floor, and that included home furnishings, and we'd had this new range of cookware in, and I was the only person on the section because he came in at about 8 o'clock at night. The store was closed, and I had to walk him round and show him everything, and he was very interested, and he asked me if I would arrange for a set of brown saucepans to be put into his car, which I did. Only to get a phone call from his secretary the following day. Said, "So Derek was very appreciative, loved the visit yesterday, but wanted to know why you'd given him a set of orange saucepans."
Now,
at least he saw the funny side. He saw the funny side.
Now, this is completely not why you're on the show at all, but I've got to ask you, it's got nothing to do whatsoever with colour blindness, but that's how my brain works. M&S, right, when I was growing up, was the store for quality. The price was right. The quality was fantastic. It was great. And then somehow I just think they've lost their way entirely. And I've been saying for ages, this is my own view, right? I've never been in retail, so my knowledge is zero. This is just me wearing my punter's hat, that eventually they'll give everything else up and just keep the food. Because the M&S food is, I wish I could get it. I can't where I live. I've got an M&S. But the M&S food, you know what you're getting. It's always good, etc., etc. I just wonder whether the time has come for them to say, let's give up on the rest because it's all doing online, but people love our food. I wonder, what do you think?
No, I completely agree with you. I'm not sure whether it's going to happen. No, I completely agree. I think it will happen within the next 10 years. I can't see that their general merchandise, they can sustain it for two reasons. Well, certainly with everything that's going on at the moment, everybody's suffering. But B, their stores have become so bland and so boring. We always used to say shopping and retail should be theatre, should be exciting. And I remember going in with my wife a couple of years ago. We went in to Selfridges first of all, and then I went across the road to Marks and Spencer. I wanted a pair of jeans. Selfridges was alive and buzzing, and they'd really gone to town with how they'd made it. We went across into M&S, and it was like going into the Royal Free Hospital. It was so sanitized. It had no... Terrible, I know, sorry. I hope nobody's listening.
Our friends at the Royal Free who are doing a marvellous job at the moment.
Yeah, I hold my hands up. Sorry, I apologise. But quite seriously, there was no atmosphere.
I don't like their brand of pants.
Michael, might I suggest? I laugh because it's true.
Yeah, okay. It just had no atmosphere. And in fact, I've taken a picture and I've showed a lot of my friends of the top floor, ladies' footwear, 29th of November, 2018. So you're talking 3 weeks before Christmas. Now, wind the clock back 15, 20 years. I used to be the floor manager, and ladies' footwear was one of my departments. And my manager used to rollick me every day because of the amount of shoes on the floor, because the customers trying them on were much quicker than our sales assistants could get them back on the shelves.
Right.
This particular day, 3 weeks before Christmas, 2 years ago, I have a picture, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, of not one single customer on the top floor of Marks and Spencer.
Wow.
And it's sad because it's been in my blood all my life. So in answer to your question, I do think they've lost their way. I think it goes back to the early 2000s when they started cutting back on staff on the sales floor to to save money. Stop giving service. And once you stop giving service, you miss out. And that was their
one of the things that stunned
USP.
me, Michael. I love the phrase you say that retail should be theatre. Totally. I love that. I'd never thought of it like that. But it's very clever. It's quite encapsulates it beautifully. And the last time, which was a long time ago, that I went into an M&S, and I'm going back quite a long time, I was stunned at the amount of stuff just on the floor. And you've kind of answered the question I was about to ask, which is why it looked horrible. It really was off-putting, you know.
Yeah, they've lost their way, and they tried to cut corners by cutting stuff out, forgetting that the fundamentals of you have to have, if you're going to have people in your store and they're not doing online shopping, you want interaction. Otherwise, they might as well sit at home and order it off a computer. The whole idea of going into a store is to have that interaction, and that's where it's gone wrong. So I think it'll be 5, maybe 10 years, and I think a number of stores will close and they'll all become food only or simply food as they're known. Yeah. Because their food's great. They'll have basic textiles. They'll do men's socks, ladies' underwear, but they won't have the full range because it's not working. It's not working.
And also, I think they tried to dilute the line. They put in too many lines, didn't they, as well? And I think the consumer was very confused.
Correct. You go in and it's rack after rack after rack of different lines, etc., with no clarity of strategy or whatever. So
totally.
And I've got to be very careful what I say, but it's all started to go wrong when the family stopped being in charge of it. It was a family-run business for 100 years.
Yeah.
The Marxes, the Spencers, the Cease, the Sackers, and once that started to go, the business started to lose its way. You have to move on, I get that, but it became run by bean counters, and the bean counters stopped it being a great business.
There you go. Back to football. Lee Durnford.
Time for this episode of Matters.
Oh, right. What can I have got time for one more question from Lee Durnford? For football, why doesn't the FA make it a rule that home teams, well, very quickly, home teams wear plain strip coloured socks and the visiting teams with 2 distinctive stripes?
On their socks or their shirts?
Socks.
Now, you see, just to change the socks isn't, in my opinion, enough. And that's what Manchester United did that day. It's got to be a clear differential of their shirt colours because that's what everybody looks at. And when you've got a mass on a television, a mass of people in the middle of the pitch, let's say 15, 20 people, and they're all wearing a dark colour, we haven't got a hope in hell. It's got to be clearly defined, a light and a dark.
Michael, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Enjoyed it.
Ditto.
Really appreciate it.
It's been really interesting actually learning about this because it's something that what I love about this program is that we're forever speaking to people about subjects that because it's something that doesn't necessarily affect us, we know nothing about.
Yeah.
And yet it's super important. No one else is talking about it. I don't know why they're not, but no one else is talking about it. And it's really, I think, fascinating. So thank you.
So you got all our details. Anything we can do to help moving forwards, just give me a tinkle or whatever, and we'll be there.
I really appreciate that.
Very happy to help.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Great stuff. Good luck with everything, and I'll speak to you soon.
Pleasure.
Anytime.
Thank you, Michael.
Keep well, Michael.
Bye.
Okay.
Question I have for Michael: if he liked the interview and the conversation, great. But if he didn't, and he's lost the receipt, you see, that's the thing.
Yeah, that's
why. Do I want to explain that to you? You're looking blank. Do you want me to explain my gag?
That's why you don't work in retail.
I'd be hopeless. I don't know. I was thinking of setting up a cafe with Ray Gelato. Seriously was. I've been having a chat with him. It would be fun.
Wow. No, I absolutely would be terrible at having to deal with
you would be diabolical. You would be diabolical. For all your charm and your cheeky boyish grin and everything like that, you wouldn't put up with it. I know you. You finished with that food? What, you're going to sit there for another 20 minutes? You've had a cup of tea. Bye. Get out.
My personal favourite is I haven't got all day, you know.
That is the Phil Dave catchphrase. I haven't got all day. I'm getting a top. I'm cold.
Oh, for goodness sake.
I'm cold. I'm sorry.
What's wrong with you today?
What's the matter with you now? I'm just putting a top on. Shut up.
Goodness sake. Anyway, right. Well,
that'd make a 3-ring bloody circus out of the fact I'm putting a top on. Yeah.
Well, you started it.
Did not. So did not. So didn't.
I really want to do this show live. Can you imagine? Seriously.
Oh, Christ. Where's the dog? Carlo and Monty are presumably in their basket somewhere. And Madam is in her basket, just staring into space. Sorry I'm late, Russ. How was the jab, says Melanie Hutchins. Fine, thank you very much. I don't want to take up any more of your valuable time by describing it. If you go on my Facebook page, Melanie, I wrote about it because so many people were very kindly asking. And I also wanted to alleviate some of the mystery. Just give you, this is what happens. This is how it is.
More than happy to take one for the team.
Kimmy Lashmore, you're not a good advert for the vaccine. Well, that's not very nice. I'm doing a 3-hour live show, feeling really good. Yeah, shut your face.
I'm changing that slowly but surely, but yes.
Have you got a note? Hang on. Ed Grossman, Russ, is colourblindness a disability we can make jokes about? Well, you can make a joke about anything, whether people will find it funny or not, because as I always say, funny is funny, but if you don't find something funny, it's not funny. And if you find it funny, it's funny. I mean, that's it. That's comedy for you.
I would suggest funny at the expense of someone else is probably not funny.
No. Oh, I see what Kimmy's saying. Sneezing, coughing, blowing nose, and feeling cold. And I've grown another leg. I forgot to mention that, Kimmy. I forgot to mention that. I've grown another leg. It's awkward.
You got to be fair. Kimmy raises a valid point. You are doing a lot of coughing and sneezing, and now if you're cold, maybe you're
trying to talk me into this, that I'm going to get ill.
No, excuse me. I'm stating a fact, not my fault.
I got cold because I switched off the heating.
Oh,
it was nice and warm. I'll put the heating back on. Should I do that?
Well, I think that would be a good start. You don't want to sit there and freeze.
Okay.
Well, not now.
Wait. Don't do it.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. Oh, okay. Well, that was better than I thought it would be. I didn't expect him to just go over to the wall over there and turn a switch. That's better. It's not bad. He's got to be headphones.
I'm having a hell of a good time. I'll be honest with you. I'm having a good time.
His earphones back in, he'll be able to join the conversation. Then he'll come back. There he is. There we go.
I'm here. Where did I go? I was gone for like 10 seconds. All right, you're right. I was sneezing, coughing, and blowing my nose and feeling cold.
Oh, God, now you're wheezing.
I'm not wheezing. Can you stop trying to make out that I'm ill? Jesus, stop it.
Now you know why I never work in medicine. I'd make it
bloody doctor. Dr. Dave, what's the matter with me? Well, I don't know.
I'm not 100% sure, but to be honest, you don't look great.
You don't look marvelous. It was at the time I got to go and have lunch. But Dr. Dave, I've been ill for a week. I've been waiting to see. Yeah, you think you got problems? I'm hungry. That would be Phil as a doctor.
Sounds about right.
Rubbish. All the women would love you. They'd go, he's so adorable. He's so adorable. That Dr. Dave is so lovely. I just want to get his face to go squidgy, squidgy, squidgy. That would be you.
It's true. I do have that effect on people.
Not on me, you don't. I just want to smack you in the gob.
Can I tell you?
And I do it with kindness and love.
Now, I don't understand actually, sort of, because I think that I'm sort of quite easygoing by and large. I don't understand why people have
not easygoing. This is the great myth that I'm difficult and you're so easygoing. The truth is quite interestingly, the truth is the reverse. Phil is so set in his ways, and everything is done in Phil's time, in Phil's way. That's how he operates. Me, I'm like, I don't really care one way. I don't really care one way or the other. Well, I've never forgotten when we had a hot summer. It was absolutely boiling.
Oh, yes.
There was you, me, and I think we were with Howard, and we were having a chat.
Well, Howard. And I think we were also with old producer James as well.
Yes. And we were sitting in a place. I can't remember where it was. It was boiling hot, and I'm like, my usual.
I know where it was. Was it Patisserie Valerie in Covent Garden?
Patisserie Valerie at the back. We were in Patisserie Valerie in the back, off the Strand, something like that. I don't know where it was. And I think it was on the Strand. And boiling. So I'm in my usual uniform, jeans and t-shirt. That's all I wear. And Phil's wearing a lovely shirt, thick velvet tie, cravat.
No, to be fair, hang on. To be fair, the cravat would have been silk because I don't have a velvet
silk cravat, black cravat.
Yeah,
big shirt, thick black velvet waistcoat, thick black velvet jacket. It's summer. It's melting. He's sitting there, and the perspiration's falling down his face. And I said, "This sums up Phil Dave." I said, "Phil, take your jacket off." He goes, "What? When I look this shit hot?" It was Phil. He wouldn't take his jacket off.
Well, I'm a great believer that the weather shouldn't dictate what you wear. I mean, I grant you that
it was so uncomfortable. It was like sitting opposite Niagara Falls.
I do recognise, to be fair, can I just say, of course, I do recognise that if you are going to go out in winter, you're probably best not to wear a t-shirt and shorts. You're
in the north of England where it's mandatory.
You'd be more inclined to wear a woolly hat and maybe a jumper. So from that point of view, yes, the weather should dictate what you want to wear. But I just think that if you want to wear something because you believe it would sort of suit you that day, then okay, it's a bit hot. But the same way that when you walk around in Israel in sometimes 40-degree heat, you see people wearing shirts and jackets. Actually, to some degree, maybe not velvet, I grant you, but actually long sleeves can keep you cooler.
You think?
Maybe not.
Martin Allen's got a question. Dr. Dave, will surgery be in his kitchen? Obviously. There'll be Nurse Linda. She'll be there.
Oh, my mother would not be pleased to be a nurse.
She'd be great. She'd be marvellous.
I think
she'd have a nice bedside manner, and you
hang on,
got the bedside manner of Harold Shipman.
My mother, yeah, you got to have a hobby. My mother would. I think people are too harsh on Shipman. I knew that would get him. Got a mouthful of spit.
Anyway. That was close. Nearly electrocuted myself.
I'm saturated now. No, I think. Can I just be clear, by the way? I absolutely do not think very much of Harold Shipman. Anyway, that's the one side. I think I'll rename. That's the one side. What was I saying? Oh, now I can't remember.
Hang on, Andrea. Did we wish Andrea Lucas well?
I know what. She would be director of operations. My mother would be sitting there saying, "You're not going to."
What would your dad be? Head of IT for the hospital.
He'd be a really reassuring ear hole. My dad's a very good listener.
Okay. Kimmy Lashmore, plus I was getting over the fact you thought I looked like my 91-year-old. Kimmy, the picture was minute. I couldn't see it properly. When we meet at Nailcoat, we'll have to have a name badge or name mask. Yes, we will. Absolutely.
Martin Allen reckons that Catherine Tate's nan could be.
All right, sweetheart.
You got an appointment. Oh my God, you got an appointment. You go sit over there, love. That kind of thing. Be amazing.
She's very talented.
She's absolutely hilarious. The only thing I didn't like about Nan, and I understand why they did that, is I just didn't like the swearing. I just didn't think it was necessary. I understand why. It's because you don't expect a grandmother figure. Certainly in those days, you didn't expect a grandmother. Now it's very different. But you didn't expect a grandmother figure to swear. But so I get it. But it just wasn't.
George Michael comes on the George Michael, and he's singing and everything, and he goes over to her, thinking he's going to get praise. He goes, I can't do the voice because I'm not that familiar with it. And she goes, I thought you were shite. And that was the payoff. And George Michael's face, bless him, much missed. I think George Michael, much missed.
Well, quite.
Not as much missed as Freddie, though. I think Freddie.
Oh, I don't know.
I was much more of a Freddie fan. I preferred his music. But hey, that's me. I know people absolutely adore.
They have their own thing.
Absolutely. Right. What have we got there? Melanie Hutchins, ha 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 ha. And you're coming to. That's wonderful. Yeah, we will one day in the future either do this show live, probably at German Street Theatre or something like that. Having said that, Penny Horn has just smacked her head against the wall. Go, no!
We've got to do it at both. We've got to do it at German Street, and we've got to do it at Nail Coat. Oh, that would be.
Yeah, we can do that. Phil, you never met my nan. She was Catherine Tate's nan's true Cockney girl.
Oh.
Melanie Hutchins says, "I miss George Michael." I think we do, and it reminds us of our.
Might I suggest I can confirm the truth in Martin's statements there? I indeed never met his grandmother.
Kidding me? Who'd have guessed?
Oh, right.
Who would have guessed? Yeah, I miss Eddie Van Halen more than all of them. But there we go. That's just me. It's much more my cup of tea. The swearing was absolutely necessary, says Lee Turnford. It was my late nan to a T, and made her who she was. What a character! It's clever. It's clever. One of my favourite Catherine Tate sketches is when she's playing sort of Southwest, Barnes sort of mother with her children, and there's a new mother's help coming, or nanny, and this very nice, attractive girl arrives, but she's from the north of England, so and she's saying the most normal things, and Catherine Tate is terrified. It's so funny. She's got a Geordie accent or something. It was very funny. The way it's more of a visual thing. Okay. This is never going to work on deluxe radio. It's going to be a disaster.
We're in big trouble. Yeah, we need to.
It's going to last about a week. It's going to last about a week. And they go, not really for us. Not really for us. Not really for our demographic. I can see this a mile off. Oh, Melanie Hutchins, I'm on my grandson's mobile phone as Gangster Gran.
Some might say very appropriate.
When we get our next guest, I just want to preempt what we're going to talk about. It's something very, very interesting. The reason I asked him back on is Tim, right?
It is Tim MacArthur.
Actor and writer, and an interesting fellow. Wears his heart on his sleeve, right?
It's amazing. He's got a pulse.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. And the reason I asked him back on, apart from the fact I find him an interesting fellow, was this, that he was told, it's this whole thing. It's about being told when you're young, you can't do things. You're no good at it. And it really, really resonated. Now, he was talking about acting. And I think it was an audition, but he'll tell you this. I'm not trying to cramp his style to tell this, but it so resonated with me. And I'll tell you why. I was sent off to boarding school when I was 9. So Russ, why do you think you try to find the love of complete strangers? I don't know, Dr. Freud. You tell me. So when I was 9 years old, I was sent off to board. Lovely. Came back 9 years later when I was 18. Which is why I'm completely self-sufficient. It's deluxe without a knee, Paul. It's DELUX, deluxe. It's not Dulux and it's not Durex. It is deluxe. And from 9 years old onwards, I was told I was crap at sport. Now, I'm not a sporty guy, but when you're told from a young age you're no good at something, it's drilled into you. And psychologically, you become unable to do that thing. So I've never done sport ever since then. Ever.
There's a brilliant line from Alan Carr, and this is one of his jokes, so please don't blame me. But he absolutely picks up on that, because he was saying all he ever heard when he used to be forced to go into Sunday league football by his father, with his father standing on the sidelines yelling at him, "On the edge, you puff. Play with the ball, you puff." And he said, and if you hear something enough times, hilarious.
As it happens, Alan Carr has a lovely relationship with his dad in real life. It was part of his comedy routine, but there was certain truth to it. He said his dad would never let him go to do anything, to buy anything. He said, "Look, I just came out of Dixon's. Well, look at me, I've got a donkey." Made me laugh.
He's hilarious.
Yeah. What's this? Is it because of your white ceiling? I don't know. I'm going mad about paint gags. But it's true. This is why I wanted Tim back on. It's this whole thing, and I'm sure it resonates with people listening and watching. When it's drilled into you, you can't do something. Eventually, you can't do it. Thank God I had very, very wonderful English teachers, which gave me a love of writing. I was always encouraged in that regard, and that's all I ever wanted to be since I was 8, was a writer. All I wanted to do. So, I love what I do. It's always been my greatest joy. But they never said to me, "You can't write." And if they'd have done that, I wouldn't be writing today.
I've had many people tell me I'm not right. They've not said I can't write.
Well, they're not wrong. But you weren't encouraged. You weren't encouraged. Well, anything really. We weren't encouraged in sport.
No, not to. In fact, on the contrary, I was encouraged to walk on the train lines.
Stop it. That's really inappropriate. That's really inappropriate.
What?
Even for us. No. That's why I wanted Tim back. It's interesting. So Martin Allen's family came from Bethnal Green. Ed Grossman is saying Alan Carr's hugely underrated. Alan Carr's very clever. He's a very good stand-up. Very good stand-up. I prefer him doing stand-up than I do with his sort of chat thing, which I find a little bit campy for my taste. But he's... Oh, no. Hang on. Alexandra, she's showing off. Read this, Philip.
Alexandra Lichtenfels. I can't say her name. I'll say that one more time. Use take 2, please. Alexander Lichtenfeld says, "Gotta go, chaps. Actual work. Not Samaritans. Fab show as per usual."
Well, never mind about all her schmooze. Actual work? What's she doing? What is she doing?
I don't know. I didn't ask.
Is there a little where she lives that needs shelves? Stacking the shelves? Work. Getting paid for things. It's a mystery.
I know, right?
I wish. Anyway, thank you very much, Alex. If you haven't heard Alex's show, it's very good. Very good, by the way. And she is the expert, really, on all things to do with mental health. What are you doing?
Sorry, don't mind me. I've got a stitch.
Idiots. Phil, you see, you've buggered it up. It's Alexandra, not Alexander.
Did I say Alexander?
Yeah.
I'm very sorry. I've been up early. I knew that. That's why I call you Alex. It's easier.
She calls herself Alex.
Yeah. Alexandra,
which is my daughter's middle name because my middle name is close. Martin Allen, coming from Bethnal Green, kids like us are told we will never become much in life. I became the first professional golfer out of Bethnal Green, and Eddie Marson, who lived near me, is now a big box office actor. Absolutely right. Absolutely. I didn't know you were a professional golfer. Bye-bye, Alex.
Bye, Alex.
See how I circumnavigated the whole hoo-ha about Alexandra as opposed to Alexander.
I see what you did there. It was very clever.
I dodged that bullet, baby. I wasn't going to get told off by Alex. It's quite scary.
I'm in big trouble.
What now? No. What's the matter now?
Well, because I've just seen in the digital green room.
What, Tim?
Yep. His is bigger than mine.
Well,
bookshelf.
Oh, the bookshelf. Disgusting.
Good afternoon, Tim MacArthur.
Hello, boys. How are we?
We're good.
That's
impressive, and I like the angle of the camera, so it looks like a skyscraper of books.
Do you know what? I'm still not used to all this Zoom thing, where you should sit and where you should put your computer, whether it should be high raised, whether it should be on the floor. I sit at my desk and then they're really pale. I'm thinking about maybe doing it in the bath next time.
Might I suggest? No, you're not. You're not Timmy Alexis Carrington Ward. You don't need to.
No, it'd sue you for copyright.
Absolutely not.
Might I suggest that you know where not to put it, and that's a good start. So, loving the Art Deco mirror behind you, by the way. That's blooming marvelous. That.
Do you know what? That is lovely. That was my mum's, and when we emptied her house, I was like, "I'll have that mirror." So you just collect things, don't you? Over the years, you just think, "I'll have that. That'll go there."
Oh,
you know.
Can I just say, I'm not alone in this. Kimmy Lashmore loved the mirror. Now, to be fair, she would not have known I was going to say that at exactly the same time because there's a slight delay to this broadcast, and she commented on that at the time before I said it. So there you go.
Let me ask a question, and it's interesting, absolutely appertaining to the mirror. I have some of my mum and dad's furniture. It gives me, it's completely wrong for where I live. I know that it's completely bonkersly wrong, but it gives me an enormous sense of comfort. Do you get an emotional feeling from the mirror?
Yeah, I do actually, and I've got quite a lot of her stuff around now. Actually, I mean, she died. It'll be coming up to 5 years this April, and I find it really interesting with grief. I've been through lockdown. I don't know if you'll be doing this, but I've been selling loads of stuff that I don't really want anymore on various websites that you can do that on. And I have a coat which I used to wear, but I haven't worn it for about 3 or 4 years. And I look at it and think, I'm sure that would give me about 25 quid, I'm sure. And then I take it out and I go to photograph it. And then I just think, oh God, no, but that was the last coat that my mum bought me. Isn't that ridiculous?
No, it's not ridiculous at all. I totally
do you know what I mean?
That.
I don't wear it.
No, I get that. I get that.
I've got Ghost Whisperer the season on DVD and cling film, all 6 seasons that I've never ever watched, that my mum got me for Christmas, that I think they're all still absolutely brand new.
So actually,
I've never watched them.
I really resonate because what I'm thinking is that I know this sounds really silly, but do you remember ages ago that there was a bit of a debacle over a chair that I had in a room that was behind me? It was always in another angle. Bear with me here, okay? Hang on a second. A little bit of a chair as to whether or not I should recover this chair that belonged to my grandmother, or whether or not I should just buy another one. And I really argued with myself over what I should do because I knew for the look of the room I needed to buy another one. It didn't go with the room. And yet I just couldn't. There was something about me not wanting to let go of the chair that my grandmother once sat in, which is ridiculous, by the way, because it's been recovered since she sat in it. So it's not even going to be near anymore, as it were. But there was something up here that I don't think it matters.
I don't think it matters. I think if something gives you comfort and you have an emotional attached to it, you all good.
Yeah.
I think, and it's people's personal lives, but it was interesting. I think it's a lovely mirror. It's a lovely
thank
mirror.
you. It is. It won't be going for sale though. It's there for. I've got another mirror in the hallway as well. Actually, that was my mum's. And for ages we were like, we need a mirror for the hallway, and then it was like, well, there we've got the mirror for the hallway now. We don't need to buy one. Dead mum's mirror, hurrah!
That was a very good idea on reflection. Thank you. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Courtesy.
Right now, hang on.
I've got this lamp as well, boys, which is in shot. Don't know what that's about.
Hang on, what's that? What's going on there?
That's a lamp. I'm going to move that out.
Okay. Ed Grossman said, Tim, I have loads of stuff like that. I sit in my dad's chair at home still. Recovered it. And Melanie Hutchins says, I have a cake stand and tablecloths that belong to my nan, mean the world to me. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. I've got a brass pestle and mortar that was my grandmother's. My grandmother had an antique shop 1 billion years ago. Even when I was born, she didn't have it, so God knows when that was. And some weird stuff. That
I have randomly, before my mum passed away, my stepfather died about 14 months before she died. And my mum had this thing where she went, I just want to sort everything out. So me and my brother went up and we went through and she gave us loads of stuff that used to belong. And actually she gave me the pair of shoes that I wore for my christening. I mean, I can't remember wearing them, but I have them, boys. So I'll show you them. They're really cute. I'm going to stand up and I'll show you them.
Hang on, you've actually got them? Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. They look pristine. They look pristine.
No, I mean, they're but they are, I was like, why did you keep them? And she went, they were your first pair of shoes. You wore them for your christening.
To be fair, they'd be good for a night out still.
That's all right. My mum kept all my teeth.
I'm sorry.
I went through a file. I thought, what's in this envelope? I nearly threw up. It was all my baby teeth. God almighty. That was nice.
Things we keep.
I know. Now, the reason I wanted to get... Oh, hang on. One more thing. Kimmy Lashmar says, but it's lovely to keep something. The last pair of earrings my brother bought me, I wear on special days. Oh, yeah. I know.
But it's strange, isn't it? Because they're like, when you think they're things.
They're just stuff.
Do you know what I mean? They're just stuff.
It's what it resonates with, isn't it? It's what.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think, whatever happens when I go, whoever has to come and sort out where I live, they will be like, where the hell do you live? What do you live in? Because all the stuff you've got around, and it just like people would have a field day. I think I'd have to, like, if I knew I was going to die ahead of my time, if that makes sense, and I had time, I would say to all my friends, come round and take what you want. Do you know what I mean? Just take what you want.
Take what I am. You've reminded me, Russell.
What? Can't see what that is. Please tell me it's not your teeth. It's your teeth, isn't it?
That's
is it your teeth?
Your teeth.
That's a little box with baby teeth in them.
I've got to have a word with Linda. Sue Cressman said, how could you have kept your teeth? Didn't the tooth fairy take them? Not in my house. And Ed Grossman, Tim, chaps, I have my dad's Freemasonry stuff at the back of my wardrobe in the same case he kept it in. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Don't get me wrong. It's slightly odd to look at it, but...
What, your teeth?
Mm.
Yeah. Now, Tim, the reason I was very keen, apart from wanting to say hello, I wanted to get you back. You wrote something on Facebook, I think it was last week, about an audition. Am I going mad? It was an audition process, wasn't it? Am I misquoting you?
No, it was something that happened that triggered a tsunami of emotions.
That's what I wanted to talk about.
For me, which I thought I had sort of dealt with, but obviously hadn't. And I think also that I don't know about you guys, but I find because we're in this sort of strange limbo period again, that we have so much more time on our brains to reflect and to think about things. So therefore, things that you just don't think about, or you just have pushed in somewhere in your mind of thinking, I'm not opening that box, I'm not dealing with that. And it just takes one little trigger. And then it all just came flooding back to me. And it was just, I went back to that time. And this was something that happened to me like in 1994. So what year? That was like 27 years ago, nearly it happened, 26 years ago. And I think it was just, for me, it was just so overwhelming that I was just had all these emotions, and I just went back to what happened, and it was just absolutely horrendous. And then because of that, it then triggered other memories that I completely forgotten about. And I just think it's that interesting thing, especially with mental health, how something that you feel is traumatic, how you put away and you don't think about it, you bury it, and then it comes back up to the surface, and then you have to deal with it.
What are we? Do you want to tell us what it was?
Yeah, so basically, I was bullied. I would say from the age of about 10 to the age of about 20 years old, probably. In various at senior school, because I wanted to go into theatre. That was the first thing that I was bullied about. And then I came out when I was 15. I told two people who I thought were friends. One of them told the rest of the school, and then the last 18 months of my school became unbearable. And then I went to college to BTEC course, which was fine. That was great. And then I auditioned for drama school and got into drama school when I was 17.
Oh, there you go. I was going to say, You're back with us now, Tim. Don't worry.
Oh, sorry. Did I lose you? Where did I lose you from?
Sorry, no. You got up saying the age. Yeah, you got up saying about being BTEC at 17.
Oh, yeah, BTEC at 17. And then I went to drama school, which I thought, great. I'm in an environment where I want to be. what I've worked hard to be, and hopefully this is the training for the rest of my life. This is what I want to do. At last I'm accepted into an environment that love theatre. It's about theatre. I can be gay because there's loads of gays in the business. Do you know what I mean? All that sort, I was so happy. And then I discovered that there were certain elements of the college that didn't really like me, and I don't know why. And a month before I graduated, I'd had really bad casting, my last year of school. And I thought, I'm going to go and ask why. I want to know. And the head of acting basically said to me, "You will never, ever work in British theatre. You're extremely untalented."
Nice.
At which point, I then sort of went home and cried a lot, and then sort of built myself back up, and then went in for the final 6 weeks of the course. But then I was able to look at how guest directors had treated me up until that point. And the final show that we did was Into the Woods. And we had this amazing director called John Sheehan, American director, who came and worked with us. And he was really, really lovely with me. And at the end of the production, we had like a party and everything. And he basically told me that he had been informed by the college not to give me any attention at all in the rehearsal process. And he was like, "Well, I will work with who I work with. I'm a professional director. I will treat everybody the same, whether people are talented or not." And he was really, really lovely. But one of the directors that I'd worked with previously, I do a radio show all about theatre, and we were emailed whether this director could come on the show and talk about his book. And this was what triggered everything, because he was one of the guest directors who really, really bullied me in one of the productions we did at college. And it was because of that, his name being mentioned to me, that I went back to that moment in that rehearsal room, what he was like with me, how he made me feel. And then it all sort of then brought back all the stuff the head of acting had said to me and all my final year. So it was sort of like a tsunami of emotions that I thought I'd dealt with. But there's been some very interesting things that have come from it since I did that post. And I've had it's been overwhelming how many messages I've had, how many people commented about bullying that they had experienced in their workplace, at drama school, in shows. I had lots of personal DMs. I had people that were at college with me contacted me. But the main thing that I'm really, really pleased about is the director who was so wonderful to me, who I thought wasn't with us anymore, got in touch. Someone sent him an interview I did. So now we're corresponding after all these years over emails. So that has been a really lovely, lovely thing. And I thanked him for how he was, because I think if he had listened to the drama school and done what they wanted him to do, I don't know whether I'd be sat in this chair today.
Linda Dave says, "Tim, they were all so jealous of you. Just look at you now."
Who said that? Bless you.
My mother.
And then Linda Dave, don't know who she is. And then Kimmy Lashmar says, "It's okay to have a moment. If it's a lovely reminder, let it warm your heart. Don't stay sad for long. If it's a painful reminder, so please know now that you can again rise above this, Tim." And Melanie Hutchins says, "So true." It is interesting, because where did you find the inner strength? Because this is a global thing. This is a universal thing. It's not, you happen to be an actor and a very good writer as well, but it's a universal. Where did you find the strength to say, screw that, I'm sticking to my guns because I know I can do this?
Yeah, I mean, I look back and I think I remember graduating and being on the Cambridge Theatre stage and thinking, well, maybe I'm not very good. Maybe they're right. Maybe this is not meant to be, but I'm just going to enjoy it. I've spent 2.5 years and only time will tell. But I think because being so severely bullied at comprehensive school, that when you are bullied, it's this strange feeling in your body you recognize bullying instantly, whether it's just, I can't describe it, and it's just the most profound thing, I think, because
might I have a go when you say you recognize it, because I've made it no hidden secret that I absolutely went through not far dissimilar in terms of just throughout school and me didn't get on, primarily because I didn't get on with the other pupils. I always had one person or another say to me, "Oh, you're such a toff, you're so posh," that kind of thing. And of course now, no, but apart from anything, even if there was a smidgen of truth in that, looking back now, I'm darn proud of that. As far as I'm concerned, I realized that actually that was probably a compliment, because they were so threatened by the way I spoke compared to them. But even that to one side, when you say you recognize bullying, I think that it puts a magnifying glass on a trait that maybe you hadn't otherwise thought of. Is that a fair way to describe? And then it makes you question it.
Yeah. I think it's just a sensation. It's how your core reacts to it. It's your initial reaction. You know, it's like, in a sense, it's like the hairs going up on your back. I mean, I've got lots of those at the minute because we're in lockdown. I could do with a good waxing, but that's another story, boys. Do you know what I mean? But it's
stuff a mattress, I tell you.
Stop now, please.
But you know what I mean? It's a really, and what I found really fascinating is having this experience happen to me last week, which has then made me look at it. And I think I probably am now stronger, because I think now I've been finally able to accept it, because I've had to face it head on and go, this did happen to me. And actually, it took me by surprise. Just, I think, how much I actually didn't own it, if that makes sense. Where now I think I own it. And I think if you own something, then you can control it more than if you don't own it.
It's a lovely comment.
I was just going to say, RK, that I always actually sort of now look back and almost thank those who picked on me, because I know I come across as a bit of a cocky so-and-so when I want. But that strength has come from, I think, being picked on and thinking, right, how can I stick 2 fingers up to it? And it's amazing what it has actually sort of done in terms of where I am now. I mean, I know that people find this hard to believe. When I was at school, I was the one who used to go into the corner, right, and just keep myself to myself, didn't want to speak to anyone, didn't want to do anything, because I just didn't like the thought of where it would lead to. Didn't like the idea that anything I might say might lead to me being picked on somehow. You know, it was an easier life. And if I didn't say anything, well, then they couldn't hurt me. But now I realize, sort of from having those different traits highlighted, they were obviously very strong characteristics that stood out a mile even in those days.
Yeah.
People felt threatened by them.
Yeah. And I think it's also that thing about people want to put people in boxes. People want to, you know, it's this thing about, people want to celebrate about people being different, where actually people don't really. People want to put people into boxes and be able to go, I know what that is. That's that person. That's that person. That's that person. And if someone, I think, and this is why I think people do get bullied, if somebody doesn't fit in that box or how they're viewed as, then they can't, and it's not right. It scares them. It's fear.
Here's a nice comment from Martin Allen. Tim, how horrid some people are, so evil. I hope karma bites back. This is the best bit. I love this bit. One of my dad's friends was also told he was untalented and had no future, so forget it and get another job. We know him best as Michael Kane.
Wow. I wish I had Michael Caine's career. That's one thing. But also, it's also been that sort of, it's been a really reflective for me, because, you know, the industry is hard, as you guys know. You know, it's not the most easiest thing, and you have to have nerves of steel. You have to have, you know, inner strength, because it's majority of the time it is about rejection. But it now makes complete sense to me when I've had my wobbles, when I felt insecure about it, when I've always felt like I'm a fraud, that I don't fit in to the industry. It all comes from that point of my life of being at drama school.
Is it that you're a fraud, or is it imposter syndrome? I talked to some of my pals, some of whom are stupid successful, and they all say the same thing. They wait for the tap on the shoulder, go, it's all over, matey. You've got away with it for the last 20 years on your bike.
Yeah.
You're really rubbish. And, you know, they've like produced great films and stuff like that. It's the imposter syndrome. I totally understand.
Yeah, I've never really thought of it like that.
It's not that you're a fraud. It's that you're thinking, wow, what am I doing here? The thing is, of course, Tim, in your profession as an actor, and it's the same for a comedian or any performer, a singer, what you're really, unlike somebody who works behind the counter at Nationwide Building Society, or so, I'm using that as an example. What they're really saying is, hey, everybody, stop what you're doing. Stop what you're doing. Look at me, and concentrate on me, because I'm going to entertain you now. And it's when you break it down to that, it's terrifying.
Mm.
It is terrifying that anyone would say, hey, stop whatever you're doing, come and pay money and watch me for 2 hours on stage, performing, conjuring, whatever it is. It's a huge ask, isn't it? It's a huge ask.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, like when I was at drama school, I never wanted to, you know, I was there because I loved it and I wanted to work. And I remember when we went round on, like, at the beginning, you know, and like some of them were going, I want to be famous. And I was just, I want to work. Yeah. I just want to be able to be paid to do what I love to do, because I can't do anything else.
That's it.
This
whole thing, you see, I've never understood, and I've met, and Phil has met, and obviously, Tim, you have so many people. Their whole motivation in life is, I want to be famous. When we had a management company, eventually I got so sick of that, I'd tell people I sold insurance, because I would be at a party and, oh, what do you do? I made them say, well, I've got a management company. Worst mistake I ever made, but anyway, there we are. And, oh, well, can you take me on? I mean, you know, a complete stranger. Can you take me on? What do you do? Well, I want to be famous.
Luckily, you had a couple of contracts in your pocket, and you just said, "Yeah, there you go."
But this is the thing. They would say, and I had this time and time again. I want to be famous. I go, well, what do you do? Well, make me famous. And I go, as what? As a brain surgeon? As someone who cures cancer? Have you rediscovered DNA? Are you an astrophysicist? What do you do? And they get really annoyed.
And Russell, I understand we have you to thank for Gemma Collins. No, I'm joking. Anyway, but
please don't get me started. So is this? I've never understood the pursuit of fame and celebrity. It's an anathema to me. I can bear it. I just enjoy, like you, Tim. It's the work that you enjoy. That's the joy of it.
And that's what is so hard with what we've been going through. And I think that's because, you know, I mean, you two doing the show every day, you know, congratulations to you both, because, you know, you're both doing something, you're both achieving, where a lot of us in the industry, we're just sat trying to be positive because we have no idea now. This lockdown, I don't know about for you, but for me, it's been horrendous.
Endless, horrible.
Endless and horrible. I mean, the death count is horrific, and that is absolutely appalling. You might, you know, more than, you know, 60,000 people died since November. I mean, it's just absolutely outrageous and horrendous. And, you know, my heart goes out to anyone who's lost anybody. I'm sure by now we all know people who have sadly passed away with COVID. But it's that sense of having a purpose, because our work in the entertainment industry is what we do. It's who we are. And I'm not being wanky when I say that, but it's the truth.
It is.
It's the truth.
It is who you are, you know?
And it's so hard when it's like when you can't do it. It's certainly made me appreciate it a hell of a lot more. And one thing's certain, when we're out of this lockdown and hopefully things get back to normal, I'm not going to moan about not wanting to go out anymore. Every invitation I'm going to, I'm coming. What? I'm out. And I bought so many new clothes with money I don't really have because I've been on the sales online because there's nothing else to do. I've got all these new clothes now I've got to wear, so I've got to go out.
I was thinking as you were saying that, I obviously consider myself very lucky in terms of sort of doing what I love doing, but in some weird way, I don't do what I love doing. And by that, I mean, the industry that I love has also changed beyond recognition. And bizarrely enough, it was nothing to do with COVID. It was kind of happening before I even got into it, but it's just got progressively worse. So from my point of view, I work in an industry that I love and I love what it stands for. I don't necessarily do what I love doing all the time. I mean, this is obviously, the show is a great example of what I do love doing, but you know what I mean. I don't always do what I love doing. And yet I'm sort of one of the lucky ones who throughout COVID has been able to carry on working. Yeah. So I feel like an absolute swine for even thinking along those lines, but I kind of do. I can't help it. But I do think everyone has been affected by it one way or another.
Hugely.
Work-wise, they have
hugely.
Been. But
up here, hugely. Financially, but up here.
We've all got the pause button that's been pressed at the moment. Every single one of us has got something about life that is different.
Let's go back to bullying for a second. Melanie Hutchins says, and this is a question for you, Tim. If I've ever been bullied, I tend to stand up to them. Well done, you, seriously. Then I worry it will make me the bigger bully. That's very interesting.
No, it's no. Hang on a second. When you say, right, hang on. So if I've ever been bullied, I tend to stand up to them and worry it makes me the bigger bully. No, I mean, I would say that makes you a strong person who is not going to tolerate being abused. I don't think that makes you a bully. I think that makes you strong and something to be proud of, because believe me, I can vouch for the fact, and then Tim, by the sound of it, you'll be able to back me up on this. Not everyone can stand up for themselves. No. And if you can, it's a gift.
Yeah, and I also think bullying can be verbal bullying. It can be controlling bullying, and it can be physically bullying. So, like at school, when I was bullied at comprehensive school, there was no way that I was going to stand up to a gang of lads who basically would then beat the shit out of me, pardon my language. No, do you know what I mean? And that often happened, regardless.
Tim, was it because you said you came out, and forgive me, was it you 14, 15? You said
15.
So was it because you came out as gay, you then were betrayed, I'm going to use the word, a big word, you thought you could trust your pals, and they go, ooh, Tim McGrath, he's gay. And it was like the worst thing. 14 and 15, those sort of ages are so bloody difficult. The best of circumstances. Were they, God, you raised so many interesting things, Tim, that's why I wanted you back. Were they scared because you were gay, because you were different? Did they think it was catching? Did they think you were going to hit on them? What's the story?
I think it was a combination of all those things, really. I mean, I went through puberty when I was 10, so I was already quite developed by the time I was 15. So my hormones were racing more than probably other people in my, other my peers. I think it was also because I knew what I wanted to do, and I didn't fit in the box like everybody else. So I was always, once I started performing, that was it. I had an outside interest. So I was therefore not just mixing with school. I was doing Amdram shows every 6 weeks. So I was mixing with an older crowd. And also when I sort of came out, we had the sort of the Don't Die of AIDS Ignorance campaign as well on the telly. So being gay was also seen as all that, what that entailed as well. I would often have, you're going to get AIDS and all this, you're gay, do you know what I mean? But I had to, I actually did something quite interesting, which was I made a complete lie and told this girl who I thought had told everybody that I'd been out dancing in a gay nightclub in Newcastle on a podium, and the owner of the nightclub had come up to me and said I was a really great dancer and you paid me £100 every Friday and Saturday night to dance on a podium. all a pack of lies. Because I wanted to find out if it was her, to see how quick it would get around the school. Yeah. But what happened was, instead of being called gay, I was still getting called gay, but people started singing "Strip for me, babe, strip for you, strip for me, 'cause I want you to." I was a male stripper in a go-go bar. And just hearing them... Yeah, that's it. And just hearing them sing that gave me an inner strength, because I just thought, you will believe anything anybody tells you, and you don't really know anything. So in a way, I made it work for me, because that was the only way I could get out of it, to make it easier.
Wow. Now, look, Tim, I think, let's be honest, we need to lighten ourselves up a little bit here. Okay, yes. We've been very serious for the last half hour. I want you, if you'd be okay, and Ross doesn't know I'm going to say this, but you're one of us. You're part of the MRS team. So what if you stick around for the last half hour of the program as we welcome a little bit of sense, a little bit of class back into the program in the form of Chantal Ricards. Hi, Chantal.
You are completely bonkers.
Have you established this by now?
It's lovely to see you, but I could never live up to the billing that you give me every week.
Chantal, you're spreading yourself a bit thin, because I couldn't help but notice you and Charlie Isabella King.
Ah. Yes,
one of my favorite people in the whole of Los Angeles.
If Chantal, if you're not going to live up to expectation, it's been great seeing you. Anyway, Tim, back to you.
Oh, the power!
Can you imagine if he was like a TV producer? It'd be absolutely terrifying. Still, Dave, it'd be terrifying.
Completely terrifying. Completely.
Fear not. Well. Chantal joining us on
lovely
screen.
To see you both. All the way from Wandsworth in southwest London.
Yeah.
And hi to Tim.
Now, because Chantal is here, it can only mean one thing. Tim, have you got something that flaps in the breeze standing by?
Half an hour of innuendo. Be like,
I was going to say, this show's going downhill right away.
What you're talking about. Ready, everybody, because time for this. Absolutely, it is indeed time for a bit of We Love TV. Hang on a sec, that's better. Sorry, just realised I could give myself a anyway. Chantal, you're here to offer us a little bit of respite in the form of what's on the box, as you do every week, very graciously, and we are very grateful to you for doing so. So what have you found for us this week?
Okay, I have found what I think is probably the best comedy I have seen, definitely the best comedy I've seen in 2021, and probably one of the best comedies I've seen in the last 5 years. And you absolutely have to go and watch it. Because it's so clever on so many levels. And I'm going to tell you, because I know there'll be a groan, but it's on Apple TV, and it is literally worth every penny of the £4.99 that it costs to sign up. And you can get a week free, so you can watch the whole thing without paying anything. But you absolutely have to watch something called Ted Lasso on Apple TV. It's a British sitcom, but it's written by an American called Jason Sudeikis, who's he's an actor, been in Horrible Bosses. He was on Saturday Night Live, which is a massive entertainment show in America. And he has written this very, very, very funny sitcom about him as the central character, who is a college football coach in America, Kansas, I think, who comes to Richmond in southwest London to manage the Richmond Football Club. It's completely implausible. So the premise is crazy from the get-go. He brings another one of his Kansas friends with him. He has no idea what soccer is, as the Americans call it. And the whole thing, and he's basically being, without giving it away, because I don't want to give too much away, he's being set up to fail. The woman who owns the club has just become divorced from her husband, and she has taken on the club. The husband hasn't quite disappeared into the background, who is Anthony Head, who's a British actor we all know and love. And it's beautifully played out. You think it's going to be completely obvious, and that's what's so clever about it, because it's anything but. It's so feel good that actually, having watched the 10 episodes back to back, I just wanted to watch it again. It put me in such a wonderful, positive frame of mind about how wonderful we can be to each other. And it's really funny. So it just works on so many levels. I want everybody to watch it and to come back
this is how you resonate with our listeners. Ramsey immediately says, I bought Apple TV for Ted Lasso. Love it. And it's filmed at Selhurst Park, apparently.
Oh, is it?
Here's a question from Ed Grossman. Chantel, please advise, please, how do I get Apple TV onto my TV instead of my phone? Is it possible? I have no idea.
So it slightly depends, Ed, on whether you have an Apple phone, an iPhone. If you do, it's completely easy because you could just download the Apple TV app and then you throw it onto your screen. Might sound a bit complicated, but actually it's not. Or go and buy an Apple TV box, which I don't know how much they are in this country, but you get a whole load of channels for free.
Apple TVs are usually around £150, the box.
Okay. All right. I think they're a lot cheaper in the US. I think I bought mine for about $60 in the US and brought it back with me, and it works over here. What? So if you've got an Apple iPhone, it can work.
$60?
Yeah.
Oh my, I feel ripped off.
Yeah, $60 in Target. But anyway, honestly, it's really worth it. If not, try and download it onto your regular computer because it probably should work that way too. But then you'll have to connect up your computer directly to your smart television or via cable.
One of TV's top producers. Only she could explain this.
Well, Chantel, being
near the box.
Chantel, being one of the top producers that you are, I think you'll find that Ramsey is trying to offer some suggestions for potential future programs. Now, whoever said that British television has run out of ideas, you need to speak to Ramsey Y. Musalam. That's all I'm saying, because he's come up with some crackers. He's suggested, please ask Chantel what she thinks of my new TV program ideas. Number 1, celebrity naked attraction.
I think you're going to find that rather hard to book, is all I'm saying.
Number 2, great pun there. I'm sure you didn't mean it. Number 2, the Great Holler Bake.
Great Holler Bake Off.
Yeah,
there's a whole thing in Holler Bake Off. Absolutely, I think that's a cracking idea.
We get David Baddiel on that. That'd be good.
Number 3, long lost pet.
Now, hang on. There's something in that.
That's really good.
There's absolutely something in that. That's not a completely crazy idea. I have watched what I think the thing called, I think it's called Perfect Pooch on BBC One. I felt I had to put myself through one episode.
Did you survive?
Well, I did survive, and rather interestingly, it's a little bit more catchy than I thought it was going to be. I did feel myself getting slightly dragged into it, and I was trying to hold back. But I mean, we do absolutely love our pets, and reuniting a pet and an owner. I mean, if you go onto YouTube, there are so many videos about, dad comes back from the army after 10 years and sees his dog for the first time. And then there's a perfect 30 seconds of dog and owner coming together. I mean, it's great stuff. There's definitely an idea in that.
And then he's an absolute machine today, because idea number 4 is the masked comedian.
The masked comedian. Quite difficult to have eye contact with the audience, because I think if you're a comedian, you really need the eye contact. But
yes, I can't help but one of the defining factors about many a comedian is actually that their voice, it gives them away. So I don't really know how that would work. You probably would be able to suss out who the comedian was, I feel.
Probably guess Alan Carr in about 3 seconds. Now, not to rain on your parade, I cleaned that one up. Not to rain on your parade, Chantal.
Indeed.
But France, Phil was saying an Apple box, Tim, 150 quid. Chantal blagged hers in Los Angeles for $60. Nothing compared to actress supreme Françoise Pascal. Oh, sorry, I got my Apple box for free.
Oh, lucky girl.
Hang on, where's Françoise?
There she is. Francois is sandwiched, if you'll forgive the expression.
Yes.
I can't even go
Francois,
there.
we were asking about you only the other day. We were worried. Well, I'm very pleased you're okay, Francois. We were worried.
That's me for absolutely ages. Paul Claridge, you see this, never mind about what you actually say. People just love looking at you, Chantal. Paul Claridge, yay, at last some glamour today. Wait a minute. Tim's been on the show for 40 minutes with a brand new jumpsuit.
Tim's jumpsuit.
Thank you. It's new jumpsuit, actually.
Well, people are loving it. Melanie Hutchins is loving it. People are already commenting. I don't read out every single comment. They love the jumpsuit. Can we just see it? I'm sorry.
It's a very good job, though. It's a very good job. Yeah, good lord. It's a very good job, though, that we didn't get. Are you gone to mend the boiler? It's a very good job that we didn't get on at the same time as Michael Green, because he would have said that looked dirty yellow.
Indeed. And I did hear Michael Green, for those who weren't listening earlier, he was your guest who was colourblind, and I did want to ask him what colour his surname was, but I thought that would be slightly too topical.
That's a bloody classic, isn't it? How do you see your surname? My name is Michael Dirty Yellow. Very interesting guy, actually. Now, Paul Claridge says this. He's got a TV recommendation, Spanish. I've been watching a lot of Spanish films, and they are absolutely fantastic. A Spanish horror fantasy series called 30 Coins. Spanish with English subtitles, doesn't matter. A priest, a vet, and the town mayor fight a demonic invasion. Oh, this is right up my street. A demonic invasion apparently led by Vatican cardinals.
This is Trumpian. I have to say, this is Trumpian in its extreme.
Hang on.
I know nothing about it.
That's Paul. Paul, have you been sniffing something again? Are you absolutely sure that exists?
It sounds great. That sounds absolutely great. Hang on. Now, Chantal, I'm really sorry to get you to be suddenly Ms. Tech, but Ed Grossman, because you used the phrase, and you said throw it on the Apple phone, throw it.
Yes.
And Ed's saying throw it. What does that mean? I have an iPhone.
Allow me, if I may, to interject and to tell you
exactly
what that actually means. And I do get what Chantal was getting at. It was less so about throw literally. You don't throw your phone at the screen. You will probably end up with a broken television and a broken phone. So please don't do that. But instead, what you could do is you'll find that there's a tiny little symbol normally in the bottom corner of whatever video you're watching, which looks a little bit like a box with a triangle within it. And the box with the triangle within that is your stream facility, stream button. You tap on that, it will then find whatever stream device you have around you, connect with it, you tap on it, and it sends it via, it actually works through, probably through Wi-Fi, it usually works.
Magic.
Through the same Wi-Fi.
No, just say magic, Phil. Then Chantal and I and Tim all understand what you're saying. Just say, it works by magic. We go, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, speaking of animals, the way that we were earlier on about the lost pets or long lost pets, what have you, which I know is not an actual TV series, though I would be quite interested in seeing it if we did make that. You know, I think we could all go into a little pack together. We can make it happen. I'm just saying.
Yep,
Sean,
definitely, absolutely.
Any odd way. That to one side. I have been discovering, no pun intended, or actually there's a lot of pun intended, discovering the wonders of Discovery Plus. Now, I think I've banged on about this for the last couple of weeks, but my latest series I've discovered, there's two actually that I've discovered. The first one is My Cat from Hell. Now, this is actually, you lot laugh, but honestly, this is riveting stuff. I'm telling you.
No, it's not.
No, honest to God, I was really skeptical as well. And I assure you, I thought, oh, for heaven's sake, what on earth are they doing by putting this rubbish on? You know, I'm paying for this streaming service, damn it. And you are wasting space with this. But actually, it's riveting. It's absolutely riveting stuff. What happens is you've got this cat whisperer. I mean, I don't know if he doesn't necessarily describe himself as a cat whisperer. He's a cat therapist by the name of, oh, hang on a second. I've got to think. His name is...
His first name is Felix.
His name is Jackson Galaxy. Jackson Galaxy. I knew it was a real American name. So
Jackson Galaxy.
Yes, Jackson Galaxy. Now, Jackson Galaxy goes round and meets these families who have cats who really misbehave. So he's a little bit like the cat equivalent, I suppose, of the dog whisperer.
Yeah.
Who's dog whisperer? What's his name?
No, well, all I can think of is Barbara Woodhouse, but she was similar.
No, it wasn't Barbara Woodhouse. No, it was. It's. Oh, for goodness sake. Well, heck's his name? Someone help me out here on the comments. Just tell me the name of the dog whisperer is.
Romeo, something.
Something like that. Anyway, some sort of Latin American name. He's got a very cool Cesar Millan. That's it. Cesar Millan is the dog whisperer. Anyway, so the point is that Jackson goes round to these different households with their owners who absolutely don't know how to handle their cats. And more often than not, it's actually the owner's problem. It's not the cats themselves. Because cats have got a very they're very clever, but they've got a limited way in terms of the psychology they have available to them to behave. If you don't know how, if you don't know how to handle a cat, you're going to end up with a troublesome cat. Anyway, he goes around, re-educates them, and more often than not, they come out with a few scratches at the end of it, but then the cats all live happily ever after. I think it's great. It's called My Cat from Hell.
Thank you for that, Phil. Wonderful. I will find 5 minutes in which I will consume a bit of that over the weekend.
Don't humour him, Chantal, really.
Yeah, is James Codron in it?
3 minutes of your life you never get again.
Very good. How he survived that, I don't know.
Yeah.
God damn.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So, I tell you what else I've seen, which is also a little bit different, and I like to bring stuff that's, from overseas as well. So the BBC have been playing a very good drama series called The Investigation, which is actually, it's a true crime drama investigation. It features the two lead characters who were in Borgen and The Killing. Denmark doesn't have many actors, so the good ones tend to turn up in absolutely everything, but they're very, very accomplished actors. The interesting thing, it's a very weird story about an inventor multimillionaire who had built his own submarine, who invites a young journalist onto the submarine, a young woman journalist onto the submarine. And things go horribly wrong. It is a crime drama. I'm not telling you anything that I haven't already said. I'm not going to spoil it by telling you any more about it. But what is very interesting about it is that there are no flashbacks to see the original girl, so you never actually get an idea of what she is or who she is in your own mind. You also never see the man who is put in jail for the murder, and I'm not going to tell you whether he was committed or not, but it's really interesting in that you don't see either of those two characters being played out at all. So it's done very dispassionately. It's done rather like 24 Hours in A&E. It's about the uncovering of the mystery by the police force, and it's very well done.
So you never see the protagonists?
No.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
True story. I remember reading the story. I won't spoil it. And I remember reading the story thinking, this is one of the weirdest things I've ever read.
Very weird.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
It's really interesting.
Chantal, speaking of dramas that have been imported, did we ever discuss the BBC's A Teacher?
No, I don't think so, because I don't think I've watched it.
Oh, my goodness me. It is phenomenal. A Teacher is a drama that has been taken from America. It's on BBC iPlayer at the moment.
Yeah.
It's about curiously enough, a teacher who starts a relationship with her teenage pupil. And how I think he's 15 at the time or something like that, or 16. Very controversial. But it's the chap who plays the teenager. I can't remember what her name is. The chap who plays the teenager is a guy called Nick Robinson. And I don't remember that because of the BBC correspondent, Nick Robinson. But he has been in a few things, Nick Robinson. He's been in a few films. I think, what was it? Tim, you're nodding as if you know who he is. Was it Everyone Loves Simon or something like that? Was one of the films he was in. Do you know that?
Maybe. I was thinking of someone I know called Nick Robinson.
Oh, fine. Right.
I know two other people called Nick Robinson.
My school bully was called Nick Robinson, and now he's the school solicitor. I couldn't make it up.
Right. Oh, there you go. So it's called Love Simon. That's it.
Love Simon, yeah.
Yeah, he was also in Love, Simon. He was also in Jurassic World. So he's been in quite a few successful things. Then the teacher, that was it. Someone called Kate Mara. Kate Mara is the one who plays the teacher. And who is apparently, good Lord, the other half of Jamie Bell, as in he who Billy Elliot.
Absolutely.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
Right, anyway, she's the teacher. And the two of them star in this together. It's about how it all unfolds, and you find yourself instantly thinking who's to blame, and then you might have your mind changed, and you might have it changed back again. It's fascinating. It's really, really
good.
It is 10 parts, but it's actually half hours. So realistically, in this day and age, it will probably be classed as 5 parts because it's you watch 2 episodes in an hour. Really, really good. On BBC iPlayer now, it's called A Teacher.
Brilliant. That sounds like a great recommendation. Good. I will try that one.
Question for Chantal in Southwest London.
Have I made
Ramsey
up from hell?
Chantal, says Ramsey, what do you think of the Mallorca, how do I pronounce it? Mallorca or Mallorca?
Mallorca Files.
Mallorca Files on BBC. It's like Death in Paradise. Oh, part 2 tonight. But set it in the Balearics. Word I can't say without laughing.
Exactly. It's
at my age. Anyway, lovely photography and a great advert for my favorite Spanish island. I haven't seen it, but if it's like Death in Paradise,
it's not as good as Death in Paradise. It's good, but it's not quite as good. The acting is not as good, and it's sort of forced frothiness. I mean, I like it. It's not bad. You know, if it's on, I probably wouldn't turn it off. But it's definitely not as good as Death in Paradise, which is very solid. It's you know where the tram lines are.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I just started watching it this week actually, and it's not. You know, as Chantal says, it's not like as strong as Death in Paradise. But I've been watching Death in Paradise, and I've not been really that taken with this series, actually, this new season. I don't know why. It feels like there's something just missing from it, and I can't put my finger on it.
I think you're right.
It's interesting.
I love the program. Absolutely love it to death. But I'm not quite going with the lead character this time. But
he's not doing it for me. It's not a question. I think it's the writing, and
well, I've got a horrible feeling that it is absolutely something to do with Ralph Little. But what I worry is that there's too much emphasis on him being mightily odd.
Yeah.
That's what I think there's the problem, is that it's almost like they're trying to find, because Death in Paradise up until now has always had that brilliant ability to take a really serious subject and make something funny out of it. And that's, I mean, you could argue through that men's radio station, really. But anyway, that I feel as if they're relying too much on his oddities in order to actually sort of make it funny.
Which is an interesting because it's been a very short run for him.
Yeah.
And Chantal, you've produced loads of huge shows. Why would an actor come into a big hit show like that and after what seems like a very short time quit?
Well, the thing about Death in Paradise, they've got this rolling lead character thing going on. So probably lead characters are offered one series at a time. Most actors will try and find a long-running series because that's really what everybody wants if you're a television actor. But you might want to just fit in between movies and find a 3 or 6 month period where you can do something between another movie coming in. So I think people make decisions for different reasons that sort of fit in with their own lives, to be honest. And I think if he was really working as a lead character, they would probably try and extend his contract. But maybe they've just decided that they're just going to change the lead character every single series. I don't actually know the inside story on that.
Could be woman rumors, which would be a very interesting dynamic. They could bring in
absolutely they could. Absolutely they could. In America, when you tie people up for dramas, you tend to tie them up for 5 series at a time, which means that the producers can take you for those 5 series because that's what you've agreed to. And you might hate it after series 1, but if it's really performing, they will exercise the option and you'll have to stay for 5 series. So
now, Ed's raised an interesting point. Death in Paradise. The others, and I was honestly about to say something like this, the others are now good enough to hold the show almost. Now, they've introduced the young kid, haven't they, who JP's put under his wing. And I find him charming and really adding another dimension to the show because he's flawed and he's all over the place. And it's watching his character develop is really interesting. I think it misses Danny John Jules. I really liked his character.
Terribly. Yeah. When Dwayne left, it wasn't the same.
I thought Dwayne was just terrific. And then I noticed on part. Oh, I won't know because it's a spoiler if you haven't watched last night because it's a two-part. I won't spoil it.
Might I suggest though, what's really interesting about JP in this series is we're slightly sort of seeing the less sort of humble side of him, which we've seen right up until now, where he's always been sort of yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir, where actually he's sort of more the stronger character now, who suddenly has got this almost snappy side. You must forgive me, I can't remember who the apprentice police officer's name because he's not been in it long enough. I can't remember. But anyway, but is it Marlon? Is it
Marlon? I think it is Marlon.
Yeah. Well, he's not been in it long enough for me to sort of properly form an opinion, but I know that JP is now sort of snapping more at him, which you're kind of seeing this almost darker side to him. And I think, oh, hello, right? Maybe you're not all fluffy. So I do miss Ruby, though.
I miss Ruby. Chantal, I've got a question for you. Have you watched the recent Marcella?
Well, yes, I have.
Have you seen all of it?
Yes, I have. So, and it's a long time. It's, the last series of Marcella was nearly 3 years ago. So she's been off our screens for rather a long time. There's 6-part drama series on ITV. Marcella is a cop. She has come back into season 3. Just to give everybody a bit of backstory, she died at the end. So she allegedly died at the end of season 2 in 2018. And now she is back. And the premise is that because everybody thinks she's dead, that actually one of her former colleagues thinks that actually who could be better than a dead policeman, than somebody who comes back and goes in undercover. And so she goes into a Belfast crime family undercover. But in her other life, everybody thinks she's dead. So it's a bit of a bonkers setup, to be honest. Anna Friel is bright blonde, bottle blonde, which I don't think we've ever seen Anna Friel as bottle blonde. But I'm not quite sure if I'm loving the story. Amanda Redman has come in as the sort of matriarch of the Irish family. So I think I'm going to watch episode 1 again before I decide either way, because the jury's out for me at the moment.
I binge watched it all this week.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I wasn't going to, and then I actually have now gone back to watching season 2 because I realised I only saw like the first 4 episodes of season 2. Right. But I don't think you need to have seen season 2 to watch.
You don't. No,
season
this is
3.
A stand-up. This is it's basically stand-up.
Yeah. Because of you, Chantal, and I wrote about this, I was quite cross with you because you recommended The Bay. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know anything about it. I thought Chantal said that. Started watching. I thought I'd watch an episode. I binge watched on last Saturday night all 6 episodes of The Bay season 1. Sunday night, I was so impressed. I binge watched all 6 episodes of Bay season 2. What a show!
Excellent. Wow. I'm glad you did. It's good, isn't it? It's well shot and it's a tight script and well acted. Yeah.
It was. You know what fascinated me, and I've got to be quick, I know, is the way that you've got grandmother, daughter, granddaughter, and yet their responsibilities keep flip-flopping, where sometimes, even though the daughter is the policewoman meant to be strong, her own daughter, who's 15, brilliant actress, whoever she may be, she gives her comfort, and sometimes the grandmother is running the whole thing because everyone's in bits. It was great. Just very great.
Oh, merciful heavens. I know what I have to shoehorn back in. You know how I said there were 2 shows that I've discovered on Discovery Plus this week? Did anyone ever watch a program called Extreme Makeover Home Edition?
Yeah, I bought it for the UK. I bought it from America 10 years ago.
Right.
More actually. I can't quite remember when. A long time ago.
Extreme Makeover Home Edition is back on Discovery Plus. New team completely, new presenter, new designers, all of that. And I sort of think that this series is a little bit better because they now focus entirely on the makeover rather than doing their silly little cutaway bits that they used to do. It's so much better because it's less personality led. It's much more about the makeover and what it means to the family. That's on Discovery Plus. Highly recommend it.
Very good. It was one of the most successful programs, entertainment programs on American television when it first came out. And when I bought it for UK TV Style, whenever it was in 2003, 4, 5, it rapidly became our most watched program on the channel.
Wow. One week when we have time, we can't do it now. I'd be fascinated because I've never had the opportunity to say, how do you buy it? What is the process that you start to look at and think, yeah, that's for us? I really would love you.
Okay. Tell you next time.
Really interesting. You know, what you look for.
Well, there we go. That's it, I'm afraid, for today. But thank you to both very much, Tim MacArthur and, of course, Chantal Rickards. Thank you both. Have a good week. Goodbye. There we go. Right. Thank you very much to all of our guests. Of course, we must also say thank you to Michael Green, who joined us a little earlier on. Okay, there we go. Our servitude is done for a week.
Mr. Showbiz has turned up. Mark Moody. Whew. Oh, Mark Moody.
Can I just say, Mark, I'm loving your sense of timing. Well done.
Stop it. Don't ever be rude to Mark. Don't be rude to Mark.
That's it. This week. We'll be back on Monday at midday. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.